Get 'em, Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want, plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated public sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call it truth. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? What a show for you guys today. I know we don't have a ton of baseball, just 5 baseball games. So we have added Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA Podcast, going to be joining us in 33 minutes. He's got 4 fights. He wants to focus on all of the big ones. Then we have Danny Betzz joining us for the big Spence Bud fight, welterweight championship on Saturday night at T-Mobile in Las Vegas. That will be at noon. Then we get into baseball. We know that there's one game at 110 that we want to talk about. Jose Bouquett will be joining us. Star of the Say Hey plays a day. Another huge score for him on the Boston Red Sox. If I had just taken them full game instead of first 5, would have changed my day into a winning day. I went 5-6 yesterday. Disappointing. And some spots that I didn't really want that bad that I kind of went with in the Orioles and the Astros hurt me. But back-to-back cashes on that Yankees Mets first 5 under. I'm looking forward to that series against the Orioles, Yankees-Orioles tomorrow. But we have a huge show. So that's the order. We're going to do CFL first, and I've fired shots. I got shots aplenty all over the place in CFL. Then we move in to UFC, and then boxing, and then MLB, and then Billy Brisbane joins us for WNBA. And then because we've already talked about those 4 fights, I want to hear what Brizzy's doing. I'm going to be at a party on Saturday night with the fights. So I want action. So I'd like to hear from Brizzy as well. Shout out to all the cappers joining us. We got Ron Crawford in the house. Spreadsheet play today is in Cleveland at even money. There's our guy Viper MB. He's on Pereira at plus 100 and Errol Spence at plus 125 for this weekend. There is Mike M. Mike M is like, man, he's a fucking... Well, what's the best analogy for Mike M? Because he just keeps coming at you with winners, man. He just keeps coming at you. Is he the Energizer Bunny? You know, what is the best analogy? What is the best representation of what Mike M does? Just cashes and cashes and cashes. His RBIs, ribeye play today, glory yesterday. We had a lot of glory. The gifts, both gifts cashed as well. Justin McElvey. That if I had just added the Cubs White Sox gift, it would have been a winning day too. So too bad. There was some good, man. The Seattle, Minnesota over 8.5. Even though we messed up on the Rays game, we were 3-3 going into the late games. Disappointing. Stacks play today. Naylor, RBI plus 132. And BJ's best bet, the Guardians, for 3 units at minus 104. I've not moved on any baseball today. Billy Friedrich says White Sox first 5 in full game was the last straw. Done with this year's version of the team. At least they got a nice return for the Angels in that trade. Von Polo in the house says super excited about the fight Saturday night. I can't wait to hear Danny Betz's plan with it. Fly White Mike says Astros chopped my wang off last night. Heard his pockets real bad. Yeah, 3-0 to start it off. Horrible. And then one thing we got to know for live betting is that when the Astros put in their weak bullpen pieces, when they're way down, they're atrocious. I mean, the other team just keeps adding runs. And then the Astros get their run. So 18 runs ended up being scored in that baseball game. Series business, the nuke worker, subhuman, Gaucho, Mally, Mal in the house. Yes, Freak says Scottsdale, Arizona is watching you. Shout out to Yes Freak. There's Jason Turgi, Nick Juarez, Markel in the house. Razor, sharp picks, ready to get to work. Billy Friedrich says White Sox lead 7-2 after 4 and still lose the first 5. Yeah, no, it's tough to watch, man. Jay Peasy, it's his birthday. Happy birthday to our Jay Peasy. He is the voice you hear before all of our shows because we all love him and we love his work. He gives us legitimacy. Having Jay Peasy's voice off the top of the show gives us all legitimacy. Jay Peasy, happy birthday, my man. He said it's his birthday day, so he needs to win. I love that. I love that. Slatsy says, after getting knocked early, tailed Nutflesh Allen for another win on the Giants and hit on the tie with U.S. Women's Soccer 1-1. Oh, wow, that would have been a huge win. Netherlands. I'm sure Jose felt good about his Netherlands futures. I know Dennis Garcia also on the Netherlands futures. Razor Sharp Picks, Delmar tomorrow night at 6 p.m. says, let me know if you can join. God, I would really like to. I'd really like to. I wouldn't be able to be there right at 6, but I'd see if I can get in there like 8 or 8:30 or something. God damn, I'd like to. And then Razor, then I need you for Monday. I need more of your Assiniboia magic on Monday night if you're available. Saturated, ready to get to work. Rem Most. There's our guy Nate Dogg 420. And again, Nate Dogg 420. Everything that you've been going through, the toughest things that could possibly be served you in life, you've handled with such strength and dignity and responsibility and accountability and all the things that are so important in life, and enormous respect. We have a couple things that we're working on to just try to help make it a little easier for you, because you're part of the Low Bag family. We love you, but very, very impressed with your strength, Nate Dogg, through all this. All right, F. Donahue giving a great birthday to Jay Peasy. Saturated says he's ready to soak his balls in some ice water. We got a Stimmy OG in the house. Dave Redling, Raymond Reichart. Redling says Angels Red Sox going for it. It is surprising. I was hoping that the Angels weren't going to go for it. Sharon Pulliam, Gerald Jones, Mark Schillingberg. What a group. Viper MB, J Dub. Slatsy says Giolito deal shows White Sox have waved the white flag. The Angels saying they won't trade Ohtani. That's true. That's right. That is what's happened. All right. Dave Redling says, shout out to Jimmy with his White Sox hat. White Sox started their 3-year rebuild today. There's Alondo. He's on LA Moneyline Game 1, Detroit Moneyline Game 2. Interesting. And there's TJ with his gift 2-0. He's going to be live on our show tomorrow. Rem Most, DC Capper, a great, great group. Let's get to work. Leonard Porsche Jr. in the house as well. CFL has not been good to me this year. Had that 5-0 win, hit 6 straight, and then went on that horrific tailspin that was continued over the All-Star break. We went 3-1 last week, stopped the bleeding, and the black will be attained. And I'm all over this card this week. Let's start with game 1. And in 26 minutes, we'll be done these 4 games, and we'll be talking UFC 291 with our man Clint McLean. So let's get to work right now. We start tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. There will be no CFL capped on tomorrow's show. Hamilton Tiger Cats 2-4, 1-2 on the road at the Ottawa Redblacks, 3-3, 2-1 at home. TD Place in Ottawa, Ontario, 77 Fahrenheit, thunder showers, 8 miles per hour. Let's get over to the line history here for this one. And we have a huge move towards the Hamilton Tiger Cats. If you're thinking of moving on the Redblacks, I obviously went too early. If you're thinking of moving, you can wait. 3s are coming. The 2.5 still are juiced for Ottawa, so that is a little different here. All the sites and it feels like all the sharps are on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And these sharps, I mean, are they even sure who's going to be at quarterback for their Tiger Cats? It's basically a lose-lose between Bo Levi Mitchell, who is now back in practice, and Taylor Powell. And the key to all of this for the sharp action on the Ticats is the Ticats are on 6 days rest, while the Redblacks are on just 4 days rest. You know what makes 4 days rest easier? Is winning football games. And that's something that Ottawa has not done since they came back into the league. And they're winning now because of the legend of Crum. They are so pumped up. Does that mean that seats will be filled at TD Place in Ottawa, Ontario? Look, I mean, I don't know if they will be. I don't know if it's going to be another empty stadium. I don't know. But man, the Crum is must watch. He was must watch at Kent State, and he's must watch here in Ottawa. This total is sitting at 48.5. There's going to be thunderstorms. My bookies moved it to 49. The question here on the total is pretty simple. Is Ottawa's defense going to look horrific again? Is it going to look horrific again? That is the question. Earl Sports says this line's gone too far. This game should be a pick 'em at the most. Hamilton Tiger Cats plus 3.5 and plus 155, and he also likes the over 48.5. So I watch the Tiger Cats week in and week out, and they're bad. They're a bad football team. Now, Ottawa isn't good, but they believe. So sharps like Errol Sports Bets, they're all on the Tiger Cats. We watched Powell. If he's at quarterback, it's all going to be passes between 4 yards and 8 yards. He's never going to throw the ball deep down the field. There's never going to be a concern of him being able to go toe-to-toe with Crum. Slatsy has the Ticats plus 9.5 and Lions -2 as a 2-team 6-point teaser. Ottawa on only 4 days rest after travel from Calgary. Huge rest advantage. It's a 36-hour rest advantage for a Tiger Cats team that loses and loses and loses. But if you look at all of the angles, the Tiger Cats are 6-2 against the spread last 8 times they've been in Ottawa. Tiger Cats have a rest advantage. The problem is the Tiger Cats are a bad football team. They're a bad football team. So I'm going to go up against all of the sharps here in this one. I'm going to look. I don't like my -4 on Ottawa. I don't like it. I like my -2.5 first half. If it's Bo Levi Mitchell, will he be switching in and out with Powell? I don't know. They're both going to be bad. And the Redblacks come in off 2 overtime victories. Look, that's not what you want on short rest. Slatsy says Ottawa gave up 480 yards last week. Calgary, yeah, their defense looked awful. They gave up 480 yards, and they won the football game on the road in Calgary. And the Ticats say they're going to do everything to keep Crum in the pocket. They're going to do everything to keep Crum in the pocket. He's thrown for 250-plus yards the last 2 games. Look, am I drinking the Crum juice? I am. What else is happening? Carriel Brooks, star defensive back, is back, and he's available. Linebacker Jovan Santos Knox, both have been out for a long time due to injuries. They're huge pieces to the puzzle. The Ticats have allowed 30.8 points per game. So here we go. Where can you watch Steve G? I believe it's CBS Sports is what has it in America. So look, I get it. I get why everybody is on the Ticats. Sharps are on the Ticats. This is part of the fun. It's part of the fun. Am I nervous about it? I wasn't so nervous that I didn't bet the first half this morning. So there you go. All right, we're going to move on here. That's Tiger Cats, Redblacks. Also, though, Steve G, if you are you're in Colorado, though, some of the books will have the ability to watch the games, if you have money in the account, stuff like that. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Saturday, July 29th here. Saturday, July 29th. I'm not on a total in that Redblacks game. I think that the weather issues are a real problem. When is the storm going to come? I think it's something that you bet live. That total has gone from 49 to 48.5. So let's move on. Saskatchewan Roughriders 3-3, 2-1 on the road. Toronto Argonauts 5-0, 2-0 at home. This is at Husky Stadium in Halifax, Nova Scotia. 77 Fahrenheit, scattered thunderstorms, 9 miles per hour. So it's at a neutral spot here. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. And look, every time I say look, I feel like I'm trying to make somebody believe something that probably isn't facts. Look, it sounds like I'm needy and reaching. Look. But look, the Argonauts have covered 5 straight games. They've scored 30-plus points in 5 straight games. Is this the most dominant team that we've seen in years? Is this just going to keep happening? Are they just going to keep rolling game in and game out? I find it difficult to believe that they're just going to comfortably win each and every game. I do here. And they come in off a 31-15 win at Hamilton, 5th straight win to start the season, 4 of them by double digits. They've scored 30 or more in every game. They lead the league in so many different categories: total yards, rushing yards per game. Chad Kelly is the real deal, 20-27, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns in his last spot, 2nd straight 300-yard passing game. And, they're very, very strong. Coxie has an ankle injury. We're not sure if he's going to be available here. Cam Phillips has a return to practice, wide receiver Cam Phillips. Jordan Williams, another linebacker for them, is available. I just think these are just too big of spreads. That's all. I just think that it's getting ridiculous. So I saw an 11-point plus 11 on the Rough Riders being offered, and I think Mason Fine will get more and more comfortable. Look, they were unable to do much against the BC Lions defense. And are they going to be able to do something against the Argos defense in a neutral spot? The Rough Riders defense is much better than some people realize. They're 3-0 against the spread on the road this year. And I think that they can stay in this football game. They get Jake Weineke back and Braden Lenius. That's going to help them a lot, a wide receiver. And they need a Micah Johnson, a defensive lineman. He's limited, but we all expect him to play. And then they need their offensive lineman, Colin Kelly, to be in this game. This has moved to 11 at my bookie. It's moved to 11, I believe, where did I get the 11? At 365, and I got that 11 with very little VIG, minus 105. Yeah, Slatsy, you're right. Listen's bad too. But there you go. Slatsy's Argos team total over 28.5. Earl says death taxes Argos scoring 30 plus a game. Be riding them for weeks. Continuing here, Argos team total over 29.5 and over 47.5. Yeah, look, I get it. I'm on the Rough Riders plus 11. The Argos haven't had to deal with, mistakes. They haven't had to deal with some fluke fumbles. They haven't had to deal with much adversity. Are they just going to keep dominating each and every team? I just don't think so. I think teams can catch up. I don't think they're as dominant as their recent scores would lead us to believe. Stimmy OG says he's big on the Elks plus 8 and sprinkled the money line. Justin McAfee says Argos is literally the only thing he knows about the CFL. Just bet them some way and go to sleep in cash. Should I play it back? Look, it's up to you guys here. But I'm on the Saskatchewan Rough Riders plus 11 at minus 110. I think that their defense can keep them in this football game. I think that these lines are becoming absurd. That's what I think. All right. Yeah, it's a great joke. Okay, but let's roll on. Nate Dogg says Toronto is on fire, and Slatsy says he just needs Hamilton to stay within 10 in that spot. And yes, I do. I think this Redblacks spot goes to 3. All the sharps are on the Ticats. Okay, so let's move on to the spot that I've invested the most amount of money in, and that is BC Lions at the Edmonton Elks in Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, Alberta. 70 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9 miles per hour. So first off, I don't think that Vernon Adams Jr. is a very good quarterback. So that should mean that moving to Dane Evans wouldn't be that much of a drop-off, right? That's what it should mean. But I do not trust Dane Evans at all. At all. One of the things about Vernon Adams Jr. is because he's capable of running the ball, they often keep a spy on him, and he doesn't run very often. But they know that he's capable of it. It's the opposite with Dane Evans. Dane Evans runs a lot, and you don't need a spy on him. He ran 10 times when he came in from the Vernon Adams injury against Saskatchewan for 21 yards. Also, he doesn't have the rapport with the most important wide receivers, and Dominique Grimes is dealing with a knee injury anyways. So Keon Hatcher was his go-to receiver. I'll set this up, and look, I've lost money believing in the Edmonton Elks, but I'm going to do it again here. I got a wild first half line over at Pinnacle, and it moved 4 cents literally like 5-10 minutes after I bet it. I got plus 6 on the first half at minus 126 at Pinnacle. I got the full game plus 8. That was at best bet online. It's moved to 7.5 at most books. And I'm also on the unders. Not only do I think the Lions are going to have trouble scoring, their defense is just simply elite. There's picks from Dave in the house. TJ says he won't be on later. Sharing now, beware of the Cubs. Fishy. St. Louis to win for him. And Errol Sports says this spot is dangerous for the Lions. They get Winnipeg next week and face a lowly Elks team trying to avoid bad history. So Earl's on Elks plus 4.5 and plus 8, and Elks outright. The Elks outright is something that I believe that is within the possibilities of this game. But I also want unders. I'm on the first half under 21 and the full game under 43. It's beautiful weather, though. It's 70 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9 miles per hour at a half-empty Commonwealth Stadium. So that's the situation here. So first off, we have 7.5 now completely across the board. I like that. This opened up at Pinnacle at 8.5. Now it's at 7.5. From a totals perspective, we see this sitting at 43, and it opened up at 43. There's been no movement at all on the total. It's moved 1 cent to the under. 1 cent to the under. Earl Sports liking BC team total under 26.5. That might be a better bet than my unders, Earl. That might be a better bet than my unders. I'm not going to go in again, but that might have been a smarter way of doing this. I love taking the favorite with their team total under. And Slat says, listen, BC gets back linebacker Emmanuel Rugamba, who's a beast. BC defense I can trust, and I need BC to win -2.5. Elks going for all-time pro sports home loss, and under is a nice look. I'm agreeing with all of that. The Elks coming off that 28-14 loss at Winnipeg. I cashed on them +15. It was 6-6 at the half. Cornelius was 17-29 for 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He also ran 4 times for 57 yards. I liked what Kevin Brown did on the ground, ran 11 times for 51 yards. Dylan Mitchell caught 4 for 115 yards. They need AC Leonard in the lineup, and it would be nice if Emmanuel Arsenault could be a wide receiver against his old team. New Quirker says Elks find a way to lose, but could keep this close. So I have 4 spots that I've moved on in this game. First half +6 at -126, full game +8 at -110, full game under 43 at -108, first half under 21 at -110. This is Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's get into our final spot here in CFL before we set the table for our guy, Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. Sunday, July 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Calgary Stampeders at the Montreal Alouettes, Percival Molson Memorial Stadium in Montreal, Quebec. 69 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 5 miles per hour. Picks from Dave. We see the Yellow Star, so you've been a part of the family, like TJ, Robert, Franklin, New Quirker, DC Capper, Slatsy. It's I love it, and thank you for all of that. There's DX Filer in the house. Slatsy says, do you prefer first half or full game under? I guess the more I think about it, Slatsy, the more I think about it, I would say that it's very possible that Errol has the best bet there on that Lions team total under. But if I was going to pick between the first half under and the full game under, I would take the full game under. With the first half under at 21, we're in the realm of a pick six or a fumble return could be trouble. Whereas I think over the extent of the full game, we'll still be fine and get under it, even if one of those things happen. So I think the full game under would be my preference. But I don't have a strong feeling on one or the other. Calgary Stampeders and Montreal Alouettes. This one is tricky. This is a tricky spot here. This is the lone game I haven't moved on. Let's move over to the line history here for this one. Sunday evening CFL action. This total sitting at 47.5. That's what it opened up at. There's been no movement. This came out 3 days ago at Pinnacle. So we're almost at 72 hours with this line out, and there's been not a cent of movement on it. From the spread, we have the Alouettes opening up at 2.5, and we see our first. The opening up at. It was at 2.5 really. Pinnacle had this at 3, but they had it -121 and -123 for Calgary. It was a real 2.5 here, but my bookie has just moved it to 3. So that's the first book that I've seen moving it to 3. And Slatsy's on the over 47 there. Oz B in the house. There's Billy Brisbane says Thirsty Thursday, time to squeeze the juice and make some cash. Brizzy, I wanted to mention to you, I know you're coming in for WNBA, but we'll have also broken down UFC and boxing. So we'd love to hear your plan on those, on any of the best bets fights that you want us to know about. Earl Sports Bets is on Stamps money line and the over. Nate Dogg on the other side on the Montreal money line. So the Stamps come in off that 43-41 overtime loss at home versus the Redblacks. They're a tricky team to figure out right now. They weren't scoring at all for the first 4 weeks of their season. And then the last 2 weeks, they've scored 74 points. The problem is they've also allowed 74 points in the last 2 weeks. And the explosion of offense from Jake Maier is sort of strange because does not have the ability at this point in the year to throw the ball deep downfield. He's not throwing over the top ever, and his yards per completion is very small. CFL is 2-down league, and obviously 3-down league, but 2 downs to get the first down, and it's a passing sport, and his 8.2 yards per completion is not much. That's about as small as you're going to find. So I don't know how to trust Jake Maier. If I don't have a quarterback that can air it out with efficiency, then it makes me nervous. Now, they have put up a ton of points in the last 2 games. So defensive backs, Natrell Jamerson, Trey Roberson, Tay Daly, and Brendan Dozier have all sat out starting practice this week. That's huge, and they need them badly. And then you have this Alouettes team coming in off a bye week. How dangerous are they going to be? And Wonder Boy Thompson by decision for DX Filer. We're going to have our guy Clint up here in mere minutes to talk UFC 291. Mere minutes. And there he is in the chat right now. Right now in the chat, ready to pop on here with us. So the Alouettes coming off their bye week. They were last seen in a tough 35-27 home loss to the Argonauts. I was on them +6, and it felt good. It felt good until 40 seconds left in the football game. Now, their offensive line is being unable to properly protect Fajardo. I don't think that hurts them too badly here against the Stamps, but he's been sacked the league leading 26 times. Seontae Evans and Zach Lindley are full participants for the second straight day. In fact, I don't know how. I guess when it comes down to it, I guess I want the Alouettes at -2.5, even though these Canadian football teams have a rich history of not looking good after a bye week in comparison to NFL squads that generally excel. So I guess talking it out, I want the Alouettes here at home. I guess I do. Now, when you look back and look at Errol Sports, who's on the Stamps money line, and I can understand people being on the over after what they've seen offensively and defensively from these two teams. But I watch what Errol does in CFL and in all sports gambling, and Errol just cashed on the Stamps against the Rough Riders. I don't know what he did with the Redblacks. Slatsy says Jake Maier now has weapons back and has looked better lately throwing downfield. In Opfa, ready to get to work here. When it's all said and done, seeing Errol on Calgary, seeing Nate Dogg on Montreal coming in off the bye week, I'm going to need more time on this football game. And we'll use it. I'm certainly leaning towards Montreal off the bye. But, I mean, in my head, I can hear Bobano talking about this wretched coaching staff off of a bye, and he hates Jason Moss. So what's Moss going to do off a bye? I can hear Bobano in my head right now. So I'm going to need more time, but I'm certainly leaning towards the Montreal Alouettes. So let's review all action here in CFL and then get ready for UFC and boxing back to back here. The review, I moved on the Redblacks early in the week, -4. It was ignorant of me. Obviously, I'm drinking the crumb juice, and it was stupid. I should have waited with the short rest, and I did not. I love it, DC Capper. We're all watching you crush it. And there's Nutflush Allen in the house. So, but I moved on them first half -2.5, -105. I don't care if, all the sharp money's coming in on the Ticats. I watch them play every week. So, and I know that there's a true excitement in this Redblacks locker room. Then on Saturday in the Atlantic Classic in Nova Scotia, I'm on the Rough Riders +11. I just think that these lines are becoming ludicrous now. They're becoming ludicrous. Yes, the Argos are a good football team. And then in the Saturday spot, the most invested spot is here with the Elks. Elks full game, Elks first half, BC Edmonton full game under 43, BC Edmonton first half under 21. I'll also be very interested in live betting it if there's some sort of a touchdown early. Then I'm not sure what to do with Montreal. If Errol is confident like that with the stamps, and I'm going to just need more time to study it. Robert Franklin leaning over in the Ottawa game. Robert Franklin, the real issue here for the total in the game tomorrow night is the thunder showers. So there's going to be the thunderstorm is for sure going to happen. Just when? And I think that needs to be timed perfectly. I think it's a live bet situation that needs to be timed perfectly. There you have it. That is CFL. We are 3 minutes away from being joined by our guy, Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. And it's been a long time since I've had him on the show. And he used to be on my show every week when I was down in Costa Rica, every single week. Let me see this. Okay, so let me get one thing set up here because I just want to be able to understand the line movements. As you know, the Die Hard MMA podcast comes out on Monday, which allows Clint, and he gets in earlier than just Monday, but to beat these market moves by a big deal, by a hefty measure. So we have 4 fights that he has picked out here. And let me get the first one up and at him. And I guess I'll use Bet Online, as I know they get these lines out nice and early here. All right. So without further ado, it's been a long time since we've had this man on our show. And I love capping with him. I love watching him destroy UFC. We also have him on our NFL shows. He's also a big part of our NHL handicapping. And he's here to rock with us right now, coming to us from Arizona. Please welcome Clint McLean to the show. Clint, what's happening, my man?
Jimmy, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you this morning.
It has been too long, Clint, and we have a huge day for fighting of all kinds on Saturday. UFC 291, Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Talk about the spot where we're fighting. They've fought there before for a major fight, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. And first off, it's been way too long. I just want to reiterate that. I wasn't expecting to come on here until I was wearing the cap with the horns on it for Viking season. So I'm excited to be here a little bit early. But Salt Lake City, we are at elevation, and that's been a huge talking point here for this week's fight card. Because if you've got anybody that's got any type of cardio or anything like that, they tend to do a whole lot better than their opponents. If you go up to Salt Lake City and you haven't been on your treadmill, you're going to be in trouble going 15 minutes.
Interesting. Of course. That's I don't know why I didn't think about that already. Yeah, we're in elevation here for UFC 291. Clint, you've picked 4 fights that we are going to talk about right here. Then once we're done, we have 25 minutes at this point before we are joined by our friend Danny Betzz to talk about the Welterweight World Championship. So there could be time for questions. Let's get started. We start with a heavyweight bout, Clint. Derek Lewis, 26-11-0 versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima, 21-9-1. Looking at Bet Online for the market moves, we have just an absolutely massive move here. This line came out on the 15th of July at Bet Online, and Lewis was plus 102. In fact, 4 days after that, he was minus 101. And now we're sitting here with him at plus 195. He's gotten as high as plus 209. That is crazy that Lewis would have drifted that much. It's a wild sport that you guys hammer away at, and I know the market moves are enormous. Talk to us about this heavyweight bout, the first one that we will discuss, Derek Lewis versus de Lima.
I love this spot, Jimmy. I think on Bet365, Lewis actually opened up like the minus 125 favorite or something like that. Wow. So he was anywhere from a pick'em to a slight favorite when this line originated, and it's been a landslide of money the other way on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Now, you guys don't really think I would come and sit here in front of you today and be like, I'm on DeLima minus 115. Good luck with that minus 225 number. No way. Folks, we are standing in front of the market this week, okay? Derek Lewis is one of the biggest public figures in the UFC. People love this guy. He's a meme generator. He's got the "my balls is hot," post-fight interview with Joe Rogan that took off all those times ago. But he's getting up there in age. He's had a bit of a rough run. He's 1-4 in his last 5. All 4 of those losses by finish, mind you. So people could not be lower on Mr. Derek Lewis at this point in time. Marcos Rogerio de Lima, Jimmy, is the exact opposite story. It seemed like things were not going great for him, but he's put it all together. He is now currently on a 4-1 run in his last 5. So people could not be higher on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. But I think people are missing a couple of things on this one, Jimmy. The level of competition for these two fighters cannot be understated, okay? Marcos Rogerio de Lima is a career 205er who got tired of cutting weight. So he's not even a real heavyweight. He just moved up there because at the end of his run, he didn't feel like running on the treadmill. He's never had great cardio, and his game has not evolved from what it used to be. He's just got the perfect opponents for it to work. He beat a guy named Maurice Green, who's getting his ass kicked over in the PFL currently and is a UFC dropout. He beat Big Ben Rothwell. Many people think of him as my dad because apparently I look just like him. Knocked that guy out. Jimmy, he's doing bare knuckle boxing these days. He's also no longer with the UFC. He might have been a legend at one time, but that was his exit fight from the organization. He lost a decision to Blagoy Ivanov, a man who I watched come back and beat him live right here in Phoenix, Arizona when the UFC was here. And I live bet on Blagoy Ivanov simply because Marcos Rogerio de Lima cannot keep a pace for 15 straight minutes. And if you've got anybody that's at all durable, they will come back and make that a fight. He won the first round and he lost the decision. That's exactly how this man is against decent competition. His next 2 opponents, Andre Arlovsky, another legend who frankly should have hung them up a while ago, and a kid named Waldo Cortez Acosta, who I could not be lower on personally. And I feel like that was a spot the UFC intended to get Waldo Cortez, a much younger fighter, a decent win and name on his resume. However, Marcos was able to pull out the win. So after spending all that time on the resume of Marcos in these last couple wins, I'm going to list off Derek Lewis's last couple of opponents for you. Cyril Gane, recent title challenger and recent interim champion. Tai Tuivasa, recent title challenger, young power puncher, can starch anybody in this weight class. Sergey Pavlovich, the #1 contender who's about to fight for a title and has never spent more than 60 seconds in the octagon in a fight because he hits harder than anybody on the planet. And Sergey Spivak, a mauling wrestler with no cardio problems at heavyweight, which quite frankly, Jimmy, is unheard of. These are the top 5 of the weight class that Derek Lewis has been facing, and these guys are both 38 years old. It's not like you've got one that's 5 years younger. They're the same age. I don't understand this line. This line only makes sense if Derek Lewis is having his foot amputated before weigh-ins on Friday. Like, he should never be this big of an underdog. There's rumors out there that he is retiring, and maybe that's true. I always say never bet on retiring fighters. However, a guy like Lewis is going to want to go out on top, Jimmy. He's bigger. He's a real heavyweight. He's by far the biggest name and biggest athlete that Marcos Rogerio de Lima has ever faced. And I think he's got every opportunity to win this fight. I agree with the opener. Minus 125 Derek Lewis. Maybe you don't want to trust him at chalk, but get out of here with that plus 185 bullcrap, Jimmy. I put a unit on him at plus 150 because I never expected this line to get this wide. I put 2 more units on him at plus 185. It makes no sense to me. I am willing to put my balls on the table and stand in front of the market this weekend. I might go down in flames. I might lose a pile, but I'm trusting myself, and I think Derek Lewis gets the win on Saturday.
Ooh, this was a wild start to this breakdown. By the way, for those of you watching, Clint has crossed the 50-unit mark this year in his mixed martial arts action, and this is very, very exciting. So going up against this giant market move towards De Lima, we have Derek Lewis at a huge number. And Derek Lewis was just bet by my guy Von Polo at plus 190. And we are in business here. That was a lot of fun. Billy Friedrich saying this should be a pick'em line. Let's roll on to the next spot on your card. And I know these aren't just the only ones on the card, but these are 4 showcase spots here for the viewers of our show. Next up is a lightweight bout. So would you say Bet Online is the book that I should be doing our line history with, or would you prefer Bet365? What book do you want?
Bet Online works fine. Those two work perfectly fine. They had Lewis, I think, the highest as a favorite before the line started moving. So I just kind of wanted to quote that number because somebody out there, people smarter than me, felt like Lewis should have been a higher favorite, and the market said otherwise. I think the bookies were right.
Robert Franklin and McElvey, my guy Justin, both just moved on at plus 185. Next up for us, a lightweight bout. Tony Ferguson, 26-8-0 versus Bobby Green. This opened up with Tony Ferguson at plus 270. The initial move was towards him. He dropped down to plus 250. And then heavy action against him where we saw him raise all the way to plus 355. He was up at plus 355, but we've had buyback since then. So over the last 3 days, we've had 55 cents of buyback. Let's see, Ferguson sitting here at plus 300. So there's been slight movement on Green from the opening line, minus 330 to minus 400. Take it away for us here, Clint. Lightweight bout, Ferguson versus Green.
Jimmy, this is almost an identical situation to the last one we just talked about. Tony Ferguson is a guy that people were talking about being able to take down Khabib when he had the belt. That was the one that got away. We all wanted to see Ferguson versus Khabib, interim versus champion, and it just never happened. And then Tony kind of fell off a cliff. He's 38 years old at this point, so he's getting up there. Things are not going great. Actually, I think he's 39 now. Sorry, correct that. Bobby Green, on the other hand, is a little bit younger. He also has not quite fought the same caliber of competition. He's always been kind of a journeyman fun guy at the middle of the road type of level. He's 36. He's incredible. I love Bobby Green. I've actually gone to war with Bobby Green a lot. Big fan of his. Bet on him a lot. He's very valuable in some cases. But it's as simple as this for me, Jimmy. You do not lay chalk on Bobby Green. That simple. The guy gets in there and he doesn't play the game. You know, some of these fighters are super intelligent. They know how to win rounds. They know what the judges like to see. Bobby doesn't do that. He just goes in and fights. And because of that, he's been on the wrong side of some split decisions because he refuses to win the fight in a manner that is impressive enough for the judges to award him the win. We've seen him drop a bunch of split decisions over the course of his UFC run, and every time he gets a step up in competition, it doesn't go well. Everyone's talking about this awful run that Tony Ferguson is on, and don't get me wrong, he's had his problems outside the cage, and he has not looked great in his last couple of fights, but Bobby Green is 2-4 in his last 6. He's on a losing streak too. He also got knocked out in 2 of his last 3 fights. His last fight was a no contest where he thought he got a comeback KO over a guy, but he headbutted him on the way to the floor. So they called it a no contest. Jimmy, he doesn't have any power in his hands. Bobby Green has always been a decision guy. The only reason he got a KO there is because he used his forehead instead of his fists while the guy was down on the ground. So Tony Ferguson has maybe the least threatening fighter in front of him that he's had in the last 5 years. And they're pricing him as a bigger underdog than he was against the elite of the division. I can't wrap my head around it. So I'm doing something a little different this time, Jimmy. DraftKings has started offering spreads on fighters. It's a weird concept. I've never bet it before in my life, and I'm betting Tony Ferguson plus 3.5 on Saturday's fights at plus 120. What the spread in MMA does for you is it tallies the judges' scorecards. So I know that sounds a little terrifying because the state of judging in MMA is not a good one right now. But basically, Tony just needs to win one round. If the judges all score the fight 29-28 for Bobby Green and he wins, those 3 points that Tony lost by, we cover that spread with the plus 3.5. So as long as it's not a 30-27 Green, as long as Green doesn't finish Tony Ferguson, the spread bet will cash. So I have a 1-unit bet at plus 120 on that plus 3.5 spread. And of course, Jimmy, you don't turn a huge dog into a favorite ever. I put a half unit on the money line. Because if I think it's going 29-28 on the judges' scorecards, it's going to be close enough that Tony can potentially win that fight. I think he's in this fight. I think this will be competitive. And whether or not he wins or loses, as long as he covers that spread, I'm still going to be up. But I will go for the big score on the money line with that half unit shot. And then just the babiest, little tiniest of sprinkles, Jimmy. Tony Ferguson by KO in round 2, which is 28-1. And Tony Ferguson by KO in round 3, which is 35-1. Tony uses knees and elbows like nobody we've ever seen before. You can actually Google Tony Ferguson victims and you'll see scenes of, it looks like murder movies where people's faces are all slashed up and swollen and bloody. The guy doesn't have stopping power with his punches, but he's designed his game to be like a tornado of knives. He cuts people up and the doctors have to step in and rescue these guys sometimes. And I could absolutely see that happening here in Bobby Green. So like I said, tiny little baby sprinkle. I'm expecting a decision, but 35-1 was too much for me to not just get a taste.
And what did you get on the money line just for these record keeping purposes?
I believe I got plus 300 on my half unit shot there for the money line. Let me double check. Plus 310 was my half unit shot.
Wow, Sharpie says at this point in life he can beat up Tony Ferguson. You think Sharpie's got a shot?
That's the risk this week, Jimmy. That is the risk this week, is that these are fighters who are past their due date here, but I still think the lines are too wide. So I'm taking a risk. Buyer beware.
Sharpie might fight dirty too. So Sharpie's always worth a bet in any fight. I love it. Okay, let's roll on. So in the lightweight bout, Ferguson Green, we got Tony Ferguson plus 3.5 points on the scorecard at plus 120, a half unit on Ferguson on the money line plus 300. Ferguson KO with a sprinkle round 2 at plus 2,800 and round 3 at plus 3,500. Let's go to the co-main event now. Clint, we're perfect timing, so no need to rush or worry about anything here. We got Jan Blachowicz 29-9-1 versus Alex Pereira 7-2-0. I believe it's Vipe who's already told us. I thought I copy and pasted, but I believe Vipe told us that he's already moved on Pereira in this one. Let's talk about the line movement here. We have Pereira opening up as a plus 121 dog. Again, this was 13 days ago. So that came out Friday, July 14th. Plus 121. And within less than in 7.5 or I guess 8.5 hours, he goes to plus 105. 30 minutes after that, he's even money. 3 days after that, he's minus 110. So there was a legit move towards Pereira, and there still has been. We have 22 cents of movement towards Pereira at this point at Bet Online. Take it away for us here. Co-main event, light heavyweight.
Yeah, Jimmy, I wanted to talk to you about this one mostly because it was the co-main event for the people and not so much because I have any action on it, because at this point, I don't. I love Jan Blachowicz, the whole legendary Polish power thing. He's a guy that a couple years ago, well, at this point, actually more like 5 years ago, I thought he was going to be the guy to upset John Jones. I thought he was the dark horse of the 205-pound division. He did exactly what I thought he would. He climbed the ladder. He took everybody out. He won the belt. But he's 40 now, Jimmy. He's 40 now, and he's coming off a long layoff, and he's got a history of neck and back injuries. And in fact, that was kind of his undoing. Glover Teixeira won the belt over Jan by essentially making him quit because he just couldn't handle the grappling with his neck and his back. These are massive red flags to me, and I don't bet on older fighters unless I've got a damn good reason to do so. He does have grappling upside in this fight here. Alex Pereira is a world champion kickboxer and Muay Thai striker before he ever got to the UFC. And in his early UFC run, his first 2 fights, he gave up 2 takedowns apiece to questionable levels of competition down at 185. So the whole theme here is that if Jan wrestles, he wins. And it should be essentially that easy, except Jan never wrestles. He doesn't shoot takedowns the way you would want him to. Now, he did take down Israel Adesanya after being very competitive with the 185-pound champion when he came up a weight class looking for double champ status. He was competitive on the feet. He did take him down a couple times, but he didn't aggressively, offensively wrestle. He took the opportunities when they presented themselves. And that's my issue here, is I can't really trust him to go out there and shoot double legs on Alex Pereira. Pereira's been training with Glover, the guy who took the belt from Jan, and is going to be very, very, very familiar with this man. I was watching the tape back, Jimmy, and Israel Adesanya just took his belt back from Alex Pereira with a big right hand. I actually called that. I called him winning it. I made a big bet on the money line. I took him by knockout in that spot because if you run the tape back, you see every single time those guys have fought, Izzy rocks Alex with the same exact right hand. He's just never finished up and put him away. So knowing all the chips are on the table, knowing this is the final rematch, this ends the series, Izzy was going to sit down on that punch with everything he had. I took that angle. It worked out. He knocked him out, cashed the ticket. I felt great about it. Jan's a smart guy. He can run the tape and find the exact same thing that I can. So I think there's a chance Jan can win this thing by knockout or even hurt Alex Pereira on the feet as the bigger natural 205er here in this spot, and then maybe take him to the ground as he's stumbling around, things like that. But it gets better because Jan likes his right hand also. The difference is he throws this funky little shovel uppercut hook, Jimmy. And because of that, over the course of Jan's last 3, 4, 5 fights, that thing drifts. And if it's drifting down in preparation for his favorite punch, it's not up here blocking. Alex Pereira's number one weapon is his left hand. The thing is legendary. He's absolutely destroyed kickboxing as a whole using that left hand, and that's the left hand that put Israel Adesanya on ice. So I think his left hand, his best weapon, is going to be available because Jan drops that right hand throughout the fight. This is a legitimate pick'em to me, Jimmy. I started thinking I would bet on Jan. I'm drifting more towards the younger Pereira by this point in time in the week. I don't have a bet. I think it's dog or pass. If you got that early number, there was some value on it. Now that we're looking at minus 110s across the board, I'm not sure there's any value on either guy. I'm going to sit back and watch this one, but I wanted to break it down for you guys because it's such a high level and interesting fight.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And that gives us a little bit of extra time here to talk about the main event. And everybody wants to talk about this one. So that is all working out very, very perfectly here. Let's do it. The lightweight bout, Poirier versus Gaethje here, and it's the rematch of both former interim UFC lightweight champions here. They met in 2018 when Poirier won by a 4th round TKO. Let's take a look and see what we are dealing with line history in this one. Go back to Bet Online, and don't forget we have a code for Bet Online on our website. If you hit that link, you can get matched up to $1,000. That link also says that it's all only through like Bitcoin and all that, but you can use cash, and we're working on clarifying all of that now because we got a poker tournament coming up with them next month. Here we have Gaethje opening up at plus 105, and it's just been movement towards Poirier. It's just straight movement towards them. There was buyback. I mean, Gaethje got up to plus 145 and then was down to plus 116 yesterday. Back up at plus 125 right now. So 20-cent move against Gaethje. Take it away for us here. Clint started Die Hard MMA Podcast, making a guest appearance here with us on Thursday. Take it away, the main event, UFC 291.
This fight is so good, Jimmy. They're putting the BMF title on the line, and for those of you who don't know, it's a made-up belt for the baddest motherfucker in the UFC, but it's pretty awesome still, and these two guys definitely deserve it. This is going to be an absolute war here in the main event. It's a rematch. You run the initial fight back, jump on ESPN Plus, watch that last fight. It's a classic, Jimmy. Like, these guys go to war. Justin Gaethje is violence incarnate. Like, when this man came to the UFC, his whole thing was, I don't care if I can't remember my grandkids' names at the end. I want glory. I want the money. I want all of the fight bonuses. That's all I'm here for. And as time went on, I think he did better than he himself expected. And he kind of tipped over to all of a sudden he goes, you know what? I don't think my career will be complete without a gold belt wrapped around my waist. And now he's hunting greatness. He signed with maybe the smartest MMA coach on the planet in Trevor Whitman, a guy who is training Kamaru Usman, if you want, a point of reference. And since then, he's been nothing but incredible. Justin Gaethje's last fight, he took out world-class striker Rafael Fiziev, a guy that people thought was destined to be the next title challenger in this weight class. And Gaethje schooled him, absolutely destroyed him. His leg kicks are nasty. His power is vicious. And since he's taken this more slightly defensive approach, He's been a whole lot harder to hit, and that's led to him being able to remember his kids' names. He's taken a whole lot less damage in his last couple fights, but because of that, it also extends his fights. Jimmy, he is torturing these people that are in the cage with him because he's not getting over aggressive and having that KO opportunity where he's forcing the car crash. He's letting them just kind of die over the course of 15 minutes. And if the KO presents itself, then he takes it. He's no longer pushing it, which is a much, much smarter way for him to fight. Now, Dustin Poirier is owner of maybe some of the best wars we have ever seen in the UFC. I mean, the first fight with Justin Gaethje, obviously, he's got the 5-round classic against Max Holloway that was a barn burner. He's the one that snapped Conor McGregor's leg in half, and their first fight was a fun fight, even though it was only 1 round. This guy goes to absolute war with everybody that he fights. He simply is made of steel. Unless you're going to take his back and choke him out, you don't finish him. There's only been one guy to knock him out in the last 8 years. And quite frankly, if they ran it back, I think he absolutely destroys Michael Johnson, who was the guy that found the button on him. So this fight is super interesting to me, Jimmy. I think these guys are very evenly matched. And for me, the thing I lean on is most of the time, 99% of the time, rematches aren't the same in UFC. People watch a fight. You know, we know this betting football, right? Like week to week, you can have a spread where somebody's -5 one week and they're +7 the next week. It's not the same thing. People don't like thinking of fighting that way, but it's true because if they run that fight back, it's not going to go the exact same way 10 out of 10 times. Last time, Justin Gaethje had early success. Dustin Poirier kind of punched his way back into the fight and then punched his ticket deep in the 4th round when he caught Justin Gaethje with a big shot and put him down. We're talking a couple years down the road. We're talking evolution of a fighter's game. Is it going to be the exact same way? I don't think so. I think Justin Gaethje's made adjustments and improvements. I think he has gotten far more defensively solid, and both men are going to make adjustments in this fight. I think we're going over, Jimmy. I'm taking the over 2.5 in the main event. It is the butthole pucker play of the day because these guys are going to be hitting each other with everything they've got at elevation, no less. And that's going to be terrifying to need the extra 2 minutes and 30 seconds when that 3rd round starts and just praying it gets over that hump there. But I think it's going to be extremely competitive. As my guy Billy right there is shouting out, Dustin Poirier is undefeated in rematches. I lean to Justin Gaethje. The wider this line gets, the more I think that the dog is the side. Because of how evenly matched they are, I think that there's value on the dog side. However, you can make convincing arguments for both fighters. I'm not touching a fighter. I'm playing the total. I'm just watching this fight go over. Hopefully it makes it into that 4th round, and I'll be sitting pretty. Hopefully you guys win if you're picking a side. I'm a little worried about all the public piling in on Dustin Poirier because he won the last fight. Everyone's counting out Gaethje. The bookies know better. This thing's a pick'em, and it's a pick'em for a reason.
What number did you get on the over 2.5 rounds? Is that juiced or is that dog line?
So I got -118 when it opened. I was sitting there salivating, waiting for books to give me a total. And as soon as it popped up, I jumped on it. It's, I think, -130 right now. So still playable, but definitely not quite the same number.
This has been a lot of fun. Let's go now, -130. This is really, really fun. And DX5 says, both the main and co-main event are not good fights to bet. Far better fights earlier in the card. Do you agree with that statement?
Completely agree. I think these are stay away spots where, like I said, I'm betting a total on the main event because I see value on the number, but I don't like a side. Same thing with that co-main event. I'm not even betting the total on that one. I could see it finish. I could see it go 15. You never know. These are tough fights. Just watch these ones.
And just for my notes here, because I'm going to be at a fight party, which I don't go to these very often, but I'm going to be one this Saturday. DX Filer has Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by decision at +150. What are your thoughts? Just because we got to move on to boxing now, but do you have a feel for that one?
Yeah, so DX Filer on that one. I started the week leaning towards Stephen Thompson. And I can understand why he's the far better striker. But what we've seen in MMA the last year or so, Jimmy, that I've done really well backing is the changing of the guard. These older fighters are getting ushered out by the newer generation. There's another Pereira. It's Michael Pereira taking on Wonderboy Thompson. He's 29. He's 29 years old, and he's massive. He's maybe the biggest fighter in this weight class. So the UFC, I don't think, is setting this fight up to spotlight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This is an opportunity for that changing of the guard. Now, Wonderboy may still have it enough and just be slick enough that he's too good and he's going to win this fight, but I'm not laying that chalk number. I lean to the dog, mostly because he has had some cardio issues, and the elevation is definitely going to kind of cause him to struggle with the gas tank. But the way Stephen Thompson fights, Jimmy, he's very hesitant. He sets traps. He's very karate style. He'll wait, he'll explode. That wait is going to give Michael a minute to catch his breath. So if you're not pushing this guy hard for 15 minutes, he's not going to slow down. So he's bigger, he's younger, he's stronger, and he's fighting a 40-year-old. I kind of lean to the dog. Good luck, DX. I have not bet it, so I hope you win. I lean the other way.
And our final question here, do you have a feel for the Saturday, August 5th bout between Diaz and Paul?
Jake Paul's going to knock Diaz's head off. That's a complete setup fight. Paul isn't taking fights that he knows that he doesn't think he can win at this stage. And while Diaz was a phenomenal boxer for MMA, that's with small gloves. He's got no power. He's never had power. And Paul is actually like a 200-pounder, whereas Diaz used to cut to 155. I think Paul's got a massive power advantage. And believe it or not, Jimmy, he's an absolute joke, but he's training his ass off. He's on all the good supplements, and I highly doubt they're drug testing. The kid hits like a truck, and he's actually getting better. He's dedicated his life to this shtick that he's doing here. I think Paul's going to knock Nate out.
Oh, I love it. This was extremely enjoyable. Thank you so much for making time for us. I know your schedule is so busy, and we love everything that you have here on our channel. Of course, your Total Takedown, your podcast, your main podcast, and then of course your breakdown of after the weigh-ins, and then your Sharp Action, all huge shows on our channel that we love dearly. Please follow our guy Clint at Die Hard MMA Pod. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you want us to know about coming up for you shows wise and content wise?
You know, Jimmy, you rattled off all the shows pretty dang well there. People should know I'm right here on Pub Sports Radio. It doesn't take a whole lot of clicking to find me if you're in the chat here already. But the one thing I do want to say real quick before I leave is just thank you, Jimmy. I know you probably remember, but about 7 months ago, I was down in the dumps. I very publicly had a minus 70 unit year. I was the laughingstock of MMA betting last year. It was awful. And you told me to trust myself. You called me and we had a conversation off the record, and you told me that I know my stuff and you've watched me and that I need to just trust myself. And ever since then, I've done that. And I even made a shirt that says always trust your balls, because that's exactly what I started doing, Jimmy. And it's huge thanks to you for helping me raise my head up out of the muck and realize that I do still know what I'm doing. And ever since I've trusted myself, this run that I have been on has been insanity. I'm up 50 units on the year in 2023. It's my biggest up since I started the podcast. And you got to catch some lucky bounces for things like that to go your way. I've caught a few of those, but the analysis has been good. The picks have been solid, and I'm not making the same mistakes I did last year. And I just want to say thank you, because you've always been my inspiration, my mentor when it comes to this betting stuff. And you did the damn thing again, Jimmy. You brought me back out of the muck. So thank you.
Well, it means a ton just watching you succeed. As you know, the first thing I did when I had my own show down in Costa Rica was I made you the UFC analyst. It was the first move I made. You started doing shows with me every Friday. And I will stand by that decision till the day that I die. And it's best decision I made. And so I've always believed in you, and so many of my colleagues do as well. And we love watching you succeed. So thank you so much for your time, and keep winning, my man. Keep fucking winning.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'm going to make you proud, man. I'm going to keep doing the damn thing. We'll see you in football season.
Respect, my man. Respect, my man. There we go. There is our guy, Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA Podcast. Fight weekend here. Something we don't do often enough. We go from UFC to the Undisputed Welterweight World Championship at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Will this be the boom, the boost, that boxing so desperately needs. We have just the man to bring us to the cash. He is the star of Talking Hands main event alongside Preston Ekdahl, rocking with us right here to talk boxing. Please welcome our friend Danny Betzz to the show. Danny, how are you, my man?
My boy Jimmy and my boy Clint, man. Since you guys are telling a little bit of stories, Clint was a big reason why I'm here today and doing this. I've been following him for years, and we became friends and things like that. So shout out to Clint. Hopefully he catches those bets for UFC.
It's such a great group that we've built here. We're such a team, and it means so much to all of us watching all you guys succeed, and the cappers in the chat succeed, and everybody working together. Soilwork says boxing talk now. Let's get on it. I'll serve it, getting us started with the under 10.5 at plus 190. 33-year-old Errol Spence Jr., 28 and over. 35-year-old Terence Bud Crawford, 39-0. We're finally meeting to crown an undisputed welterweight championship. This is being a champion. It's been a long time coming. I can't wait to hear your breakdown. So let's open it up to our man, Danny Betzz. What are you looking for? What are you betting in this giant world championship fight?
Huge fight for the undisputed, all the titles at 147. Me personally, I mean, it's just a fact. It's not even my opinion. This year has been the best year for boxing. Big fights are happening, huge fights. Ryan Garcia, Tank, Benavidez versus Plant. You got all these fights coming up with Charlo and Canelo, and then this weekend is a huge fight. And Spence, I'll break it down real quick. Spence, he's been at 147 for most of his career. He's a big 147er. He actually fought at 154 back in the amateurs. He was a big kid. The guy could make 160 easily if he wanted to. He's gonna, after this fight, he was talking about moving up to 154 for sure. And he throws a lot of volume. Great jab, one of the best jabs out there. I think it's still underrated at this point. He throws a lot of volume, which I like. He's winning minutes. He's got good footwork, and the guy is just on you, man. It's hard to when somebody has that pace that does not stop, he's like a robot. He just keeps going. And the crazy thing is, this guy's been in two bad, horrible, especially one horrible car crash. He doesn't take tune-up fights. Right after that car crash, he went to go fight Danny Garcia, and he whooped his ass like nobody has. And shout out to Danny Garcia because he's tough. He's never even been knocked down. Then he gets torn retina, and he has surgery for that, and he comes back and fights Ugas. And we all saw that fight. He took his eye out. He took Ugas' eye out. It got so bad, swollen. The doctor had to stop it. When you fight Spence, I always said this in his career. When you fight Spence, he just takes something from you. Like every fighter he fights against, they're not the same. Ask me where Ugas is at right now. Nobody knows. Sean Porter back in the day was never the same. Even his camp, even his father, even his friends said it. That was the best Sean Porter he's fought. And ever since then, we've never seen that same Sean Porter. Same with Danny Garcia. He went into mental depression, was out of boxing for 2 years, and things like that. That says a lot about Spence. Crawford, on the other hand, he's fought at 135, been undisputed down there, 140. He's quick. He's got power. He's knocked out everybody at 147 that he's faced. And I think he definitely has some skills, man. I think he's going to have a speed advantage. Definitely, if I had to pick who has the most KO power from one punch, it's got to be Crawford, in my opinion. But stronger fighter has got to be Spence. So I want to see how this fight turns into the clinch or inside boxing in the pocket. I think Spence has it all day. But Crawford just has that nastiness to him. There has been times that he's been hit and hurt a couple times. He's got Bambi legs a couple times against Gamboa, against Mean Machine. And I'm going against the grain. There's a lot of love. I've been surprised. Me and Preston said the same thing. We were surprised of all the love for Crawford. And I got to take Spence in this one. At plus money, it's just a must bet for me because I don't think Crawford could beat I I mean, even though I see this fight being pretty close, I can't see Crawford winning a decision. A lot of his fights, like Sean Porter, he was losing until he got the knockout. Kell Brook, I know it was like round 3, but he lost the first 2 rounds. He starts slow, and guys can build up rounds early, and you do not want to do that against Spence. So my money's going with Spence. I personally got it at BetMGM at 138 plus 138. I'm putting 3 units on it. Even though I know this fight, I'm pretty sure this fight is going to the scorecards. I think this number is totally off. Round 9 to 12 is plus 1,400 for Spence. And if he gets a TKO, the only way I see him taking out Crawford is like a TKO, too much swelling in the eye, stoppage, plus 1,400. And Crawford, I think 9 to 12 is like plus 500. That's so disrespectful, like to me. So I got to sprinkle that. And I got to take Spence to take it. He's got the better corner, better trainer. He's got Derek James, the trainer of the year multiple times. So I trust that team way more with better fighters. They got Charlo, they got Anthony Joshua, they got Ryan Garcia, they got Frank Martin. And I just got to take Spence plus money all day. You're on mute, Jim.
Oh, yeah, I got the kids in the background. But this line came out 2 months ago, and BetOnline has not moved it. It's moved 5 cents in 2 months. Pinnacle, though, has moved it towards Crawford. It made me nervous with some of the boxing. They're not gamblers, but they're in the boxing industry, and they're big in the Toronto boxing industry. And they, call fights and do play-by-play for the fights here. They all talked about how years ago they imagined that Spence would be the bigger, tougher fighter when he fought Crawford, and they say that that's not the case. That's what surprised them, is that now Crawford is the tougher of the two, which they didn't expect, and they all have Crawford by decision. And what made me nervous was they all did. They all were like, yes, I agree, because, this is a guy they look up to in the Toronto fight community. And so maybe that was part of it. They just want to be his friend or whatever. Yeah. But whenever I see everybody on the same spot, it makes me nervous. What is your thoughts about how does Spence what I like to do when I've got a bet is how do I lose this fight? How do I lose this bet? What would you see happening for you to lose your bet on Errol Spence?
The only way, like I was saying, the only way I think he loses is Crawford knocks him out late. That's the only way. I mean, it could be a closer fight in the scorecards. I still think Spence is gonna outvalue him for sure. Plus, he's got the PBC backing. He's a PBC fighter, and they're controlling this fight, and Showtime. So you're telling me if it's a close decision? I mean, you saw what happened in Cambosos. I mean, that was a robbery. That wasn't even close. That was a real robbery. But you gotta think like that sometimes, because he was a top ranked fighter, and he signed the contract, so they knew they wanted him to win. So.
Oh, I love this breakdown. The dog. Errol Spence Jr. for our Danny Betzz. Please follow our guy Danny Betzz on Twitter. I'm going to put your Twitter handle here into the chat. But what's next for you and Preston, or for anything that you've got going on that we need to know about?
Yeah, I also do UFC, so I'll be on the stream on Saturday with the boys. Catch us live there, doing live bets, chilling, having a good time. And on Tuesdays at 7:30 Eastern, me and Preston always break down the boxing matches coming up. So we'll recap what happens in this fight, Spence and Crawford, and then we'll go into our predictions for the huge fight people love, Jake Paul and Nate Diaz.
Do you have a feel for the main event for UFC 291?
I took a little sprinkle. It's a tough call because a lot of times fights don't happen exactly how it happened the first time. Like, we know this is a rematch. Poirier got the knockout. I could see that happening again. What I did, I do favor Poirier just because I just like his toughness. There's a lot of adversity he goes through, just like his last fight with Chandler, and he still gutted it out and got the submission. I trust him a little bit more. His durability. I gotta go with him. I'm not betting it. The only thing I took was a little sprinkle. Was round 3, 4, and 5 by submission at plus 1700. I thought that line was crazy because he's definitely the better BJJ jiu-jitsu guy. And if this goes to the mat, it's and we all know Gaethje likes to tap. I mean, he's never lost by decision. Either he gets knocked out or he taps.
This is excellent. Can we have you back for more big boxing matches in the future, Danny? We'd love to have you back on our program. Is that possible?
Yes. Now you know my schedule. I ran over here to my house real quick because I'm not far. I'm not far from work. It's like 6 minutes. So yeah, just let me know, man.
You're the man. Thank you for making time for us. It means a ton to our whole community here. Danny Betzz moving on. Errol, Spence here, and you can catch him on Tuesdays with the Talking Hands, but also this Saturday night for our UFC 291 live bet stream. And I popped his Twitter handle in the chat. Please follow him and support our guys at Danny Betzz, BETZZ. Danny, you're the man. Thank you for running with us. Good luck on Saturday, and truly thank you for making time for us, my man.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right, respect. There he is. The fight weekend here on Betting with the Bag. You know, it's funny. Football does this to me sometimes, but I get excited talking fighting in a different way. And hockey does it to me sometimes as well. But something about the violence that just pumps me the fuck up, man. And I listen to our experts. I stay in my lane and listen to our experts. This is going to be fun. I'm going to be liquidated on Saturday night, hammering these bets. All right, it's time to move into Major League Baseball. And the producer of our show, the star of Say Hey Plays, is starting to run hot. And good God, do we need it? Good God, do we need it? Please welcome to the show from San Antonio, Texas, Jose Bouquett. Jose, how are you?
Jimmy, I'm doing well. Can you hear me? And everything sounds well.
I can. I mean, it's not the best the audio sound, but it just sounds a little tinny. But it's good enough.
Give me 1 second. I'll fix that real quick.
All right, let's do it. Okay, let's get to work. We start with the double dip, 1:10 p.m. Eastern. Let me move this over because I know that our guy Jose has it all set up for us. Here we go. Let's get to work here. Detroit Tigers at home to the Los Angeles Angels. We're at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. Let's hear the sweet sounds of Jose Bouquett, see if it's glorious.
Yeah, I hope it sounds better. It ideally does. Your look on the face doesn't make it seem like it sounds better.
It's okay, though. It's good enough for us to work with, so let's not worry about it. It's all good.
I've got a switch, don't worry.
Okay. All right. We're going to – okay. I apologize, guys. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it is nice.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We got it.
There we go. You're in business. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Let's roll. Wine Time Sports on the under 8.5 in this first game of the series. Ohtani versus Lorenzen. All of a sudden, the Tigers pitching staff is looking strong with the way Matt Manning has looked. And Matt Manning, we can assume, is going to be very fresh because his last start, this is, of course, game 2, was short due to the rain delay. 77 Fahrenheit, 5.1 miles per hour to left field, stays between 5.1 and 4.5 miles per hour. Let's go over to Ballpark Pal and get a little refresh here on Comerica. It's minus 4% home runs, plus 8% runs. Minus 4% home runs, plus 8% runs. Let's get into the line history here for this one. See what we are dealing with. The first thing that caught me in this game 1, was that the line, there's no longer, it feels like there's no longer an Ohtani tax, especially on the road. It doesn't feel like the lines are set up for. In fact, I think that this line is almost asking for action on Ohtani. It opened up at Pinnacle at minus 146. It's now minus 136. I mean, I feel like it's pretty clear that Lorenzen is pitching very well and Ohtani's not being good on the road. Now, there's other things at play here in the fact that Otani knows he's staying. That's probably good for him. And the Angels know that they're going all in. Well, all in might be a little much, but that was a big trade. That was a big trade for Giolito. The total opened up at 8, a juice to the under, and it moved to 8.5. It's moved to 8.5 a few times. It's there right now. 12:12 p.m. was the last move. It's juice to the under, but we have a move to the over. So we have a move to the over, and we have a move to the Detroit Tigers. Let's pull up the cash flow here and see what we have for game one. 55% of the tickets, 52% of the cash on the Angels, and market is not moving towards them. Then you have 32% of tickets and 51% of cash on the under. And again, the market is not moving towards them. So let's talk about Otani. 3.71 ERA, 1.12 whip. 148 strikeouts to 111 2/3. He has allowed 18 home runs in the 111 2/3. He's been very, very good. His last 2 starts have not been. In his last start at home, 6 1/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 home runs allowed, 9 Ks, 1 walk. But the team is galvanized whenever he's out on the mound. They seem to push harder for him, and they seem to play looser offensively and get runs. On the road, though, he now has a 4.60 ERA, 53 strikeouts in 43 innings, so it pales in comparison to what he's doing at home. And he's allowed 9 of his 18 jacks, so that's even. But the innings he's had at home are, basically 60% of his innings this year. Lorenzen, 3.49 ERA, 1.09 whip. He's looked excellent. 7 innings, no runs allowed at the Royals in his last start. At home, he's got a 3.78 ERA, a little worse than he is on the road. Angels are hitting 233, 751 OPS versus righties since July 1st, and this Angels bullpen has been really bad. There's just no getting around it. It's been really bad. Take it away for us here, Jose. It is time to talk game one of the double dip. It pops off in 48 minutes. Angels, Tigers.
Yeah, it's a tough game, and I'm sorry if you might be able to hear an echo, but I will fix that here a second. But beautiful. Yeah, I thought Otani was obviously a little underpriced here, to be honest. So I thought that was a little surprising. But we have a double dip here, so I generally stay off of double dips, to be honest. Lorenzen's been pitching just a lot better than Otani recently, and I don't want to back him right now. Pitcher-wise, it's been 5 earned runs both times. His last time out against Houston and Pittsburgh, of all people, who have not been hitting well as of late. So I pass here. Maybe I lean towards an over, honestly, just because I think that the Angels offense can get to Lorenzen, who's coming off of 2 back-to-back shutouts, and I just don't think he can do that again. Then Otani can give up some runs. So maybe I lean towards the over here, but I have really nothing on either of these games, unfortunately. It's a gift and a curse when you have a small card.
I guess sitting here, do you really want to back – do you really expect Lorenzen just to shove again? And maybe we should. I always feel concerned, and I know you do too, when you have a starting pitcher who's not allowed to run over his last 2 starts. We just saw Eflin get lit up, but we have 3 straight starts. Not only that, Lorenzen is not allowed to run in July. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah, everyone was talking shit about him at the All-Star game, and now he's turned it on. So he's going to be a pretty good trade piece for somebody. Someone gets him. He
is not allowed a run in July. He's a perfect trade piece because he's just signed that 1-year contract. Fly White Mike says Angels first 5. Otani can be calmed down, knowing he won't be traded and go out and ball. Robert Frank says I think Lorenzen gives a little today. KC, Seattle, Oakland's last 3 starts, weak lineups.
The Otani stuff was ridiculous. That was the biggest show ever. That was always not going to happen. So I'm glad that maybe his mentals are now relaxed, that he knows he's not getting traded. But I think anyone that knew he was not going to get traded for a really long time.
And keep in mind, we're going to talk about game 2 here, and I kind of lean towards the over in this one as well. Just because I have fear backing Lorenzen. I tell you, it's Lorenzen or pass.
Agreed. Well, actually, I'd probably go Otani or pass, to be honest. Never mind.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know how he can be trusted on the road right now. But now we can say, sure, he's relaxed and all that. I just don't feel that way. And this total opened up at 8. I mean, we've moved it to 8.5, and I think this is an over game.
Shout out to my guy Wine Time though, because he's living the life. This is the last season of Angels baseball for a while for my guy Wine Time, so he's got to live it up right now. Get everyone. Everyone hates the Angels. They hate us because they ain't us. Get it all, because they need all of that to try to make the playoffs.
Let's talk about game 2, and then also I want everyone to keep in mind that the Angels head up to Toronto tomorrow.
By the way, someone asked about the cash in these games.
Oh, did I not talk about the cash? Oh, I think I did.
I don't know if you did or didn't.
Oh, no, I definitely did. 100% did. So, as I said, 68% of tickets, 54% cash is on the over. And on the money line, it's now 57 and 52. It's 55 and 52 on the Angels. So, I mean, it's pretty evenly matched. But I think this market moving towards the Tigers, says it all here. Says it all.
I'm going to try one more thing for the audio real quick.
Okay. Next up for us, 4:40 p.m. Eastern. This is game 2. Joe Yerger said he just might be on a bet on the loser of game 1. I hear that. Here we go. Patrick Sandoval against Matt Manning. Matt Manning is doing everything that people thought he'd be capable of when he was drafted so high. Patrick Sandoval has not looked nearly as good as we expected this year, but he has looked better here in the second half. Patrick Sandoval, 5-7, 4.16 ERA, 1.41 WHIP. His last start at home over the Yankees was a thing of beauty, 7 1/3, just a solo shot allowed. On the road, 3.55 ERA, 226 opponents batting average. He's been very good on the road. He's allowed 2 home runs over 45 2/3. If this first game goes over, I would sure like to be on the under, I think, in the second game. But let's take a look at this market. This has gone from 8.5 to 9. So both markets doing things that I didn't expect. Let's take a look at the money line here for this one. This money line has gone from minus on the Angels, minus 111 to minus 125, 14-cent move. So I'm surprised this is moving to the over. I'm surprised this is moving towards the Angels in game 2. I really am. I did not expect that. Matt Manning has thrown 36 2/3 innings this year, and only 8 2/3 have come at home. He's allowed 1 hit in those 8 2/3. He has not allowed an earned run, and opponents are batting 0.40, 40 batting average against him. The Tigers are not hitting lefties, 242, 683 OPS. We already talked about the Angels versus righties. So I think that we need to know the story of game 1 before we bet game 2. Morgan Spooner saying Manning's an underrated pitcher. Saw him in Toledo. I was blown away. Take it away for us here, Jose. Game 2 of the double dip. Sandoval, Manning, in Comerica.
Those and I sound good now, right?
Yeah, you're perfect. Yeah.
Beautiful. So yeah, I think those home numbers are obviously a little inflated. 2 starts at home. 1 was only 2 innings, so I'm assuming that was a rain start, and that was against the Padres.
It was, yeah. It was remember he came out, and the Padres kept their rookie in, and the Padres just dominated after Manning came out.
Oh yeah, Jackson Wolf. Right. Yeah. Okay, so that, and then the other start was against your Blue Jays as a no-hitter. 6-inning no-hitter there, 6 2/3 there. I think you can get touched up here at home. I probably, like I said, if we think the Tigers win the first game, I'd probably go Angels. Second game, double hitters are usually splits. But yeah, I would agree with you also with the under part as well. I think both these guys can pitch well against these offenses. We know that the Tigers are 23rd against lefties this season, 93 weighted runs created plus and 89 weighted runs created plus for the last 2 weeks against lefties. Just kind of meh, and ultimately it's kind of tough to back the Tigers here. This doubleheader, which is a meh doubleheader that I didn't want any action on, honestly. So, like I said, if the Tigers end up winning game 1 with Ohtani on the bump, I'd probably take the Angels in game 2, just because I think doubleheaders are more than likely not usually splits.
Well, I think that this should be a live bet situation here. So instead of moving on that game 1 over 8.5, I'd like to focus on it live. If we can get through a first inning very easily, then maybe move on it or wait 3 innings. It's I've got to make that decision. But the Angels bullpen's been terrible. The Tigers bullpen's been terrible. So I think that really we'll have the live betting situations on both of these games, and that I think that's what I plan to do. So I'm not going to take that over 8.5 here. This game pops off in 40 minutes, and there's not a lot of things going on action-wise today. So that will be the sole game, of course, in the afternoon. And I plan to live bet the over is what I'm going to do. All right, let's move on to 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Washington Nationals 43-59, 23-26 on the road to the New York Mets 47-54, 23-22 at home. We're at Citi Field in Queens, New York. Let me refresh this weather.
You were going to be on the over in which game, the first one or the second one?
I'd like to live bet. I expect starters in both games to look quite good very early. I think the bullpens are a problem on both teams. I think that if it goes in the perfect situation for me, it would be 0-0 after 3 innings in both of the games, and I would live bet them both to the over.
Cool.
If you guys, I know the LA-Toronto game didn't get to 10, but I hope you live bet the over before Witt's 3-run shot. I mean, at that point, it's really helpful having the pregame cap, your bet, and then seeing what goes on in the first 2 or 3 innings, and then just betting it again if you trust what you're doing. So, but that's what I think. I won't make a pregame bet on it. Morgan Spooner says just bet Tigers money line both games, half unit, because I'm a degenerate. Well, explain yourself. All right, let's move here with Nationals, New York Mets, Citi Field in Queens, New York. Joe Rich in the house. He's on the Mets' first 5. Mally Mal leaning to the Mets' first 5. By the way, Wine Time, who knows this Angels team inside and out, says if the Halos don't win Game 1, I'll bet them here, but I only have the under 8.5 in Game 1, and that's it. Yeah, you are on the under. I got to keep that in mind. All right, Nationals, Mets is the next one for us. Josiah Gray versus Kodai Senga. Johnny K says under. And look, I know that I'm not having the success that I had last year, and there's still time, and this is when I caught fire last year. But I don't understand how this spot would be moving towards the over. And when that happens, I prefer not to have action in it when I'm just wrong. Like I was wrong about where the market went in Game 2 of the double dip. And I was wrong. And you always put what is your line on the game, and then take a look and see, do we have a difference? And then why is it different? And how is it moving? This got up to 9.5 at 2 a.m. So this went from 8.5 to 9.5. And if we're sitting here focusing on splits, and you can do that too much, it makes no sense whatsoever. You have Josiah Gray, who's lights out on the road, 2.74 ERA, 251 opponent's batting average, allowed just 6 home runs in 69 innings, against Kodai Senga, who's lights out at home. 50 1/3, 2.50 ERA, 5 homers, 177 opponent's batting average. Joe Yurkovich says you can get a first 5 under 5 at -109 Sports Interaction. Yeah, why? I just couldn't explain why that was. Obviously I was very interested in that Dylan Cease, Tanner Bybee under, and that one I was surprised. I thought the 4 would be closer to a pick'em. Pinnacles moved that to 4.5. So here I'm wrong. Here, why would they be offering us this at 5? And not only that, it opened at 5. So it opens at 5, and it immediately takes money to the over. This was juiced to the over 5. At 5 a.m, the over 5 at Pinnacle is -115. The under was plus money. And then at 7:45 in the morning, it's -121. The moves were monstrous. So yes, I agree with the move to the under 5 -121. At 8:06, there was a 22-cent move to the over. I mean, these are big moves. Big moves. Joe Yurkovich says public factoring the weather here may be too much. Let's discuss that here. We have City Field with plus 25% home runs and plus 7% runs. I love how Joe thinks that we're putting too much time into the weather and even the splits. I need to hear that because I often put too much emphasis on certain angles that I like hearing when I have colleagues that don't. Again, there's drizzle early, there's rain late. Does that mean that we're going to get to these bullpens? This Nats bullpen is being so bad, but we saw what they did the last 2 games against the Rockies. I know I don't like to talk about what happened yesterday, but those were huge comebacks that are going to build momentum for the Nats. Josiah Gray, Kodai Senga, and this total doesn't make sense to me. So take it away for us, Jose. Nats, Mets at Citi Field.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing you were about the total first 5 under. But shout out to Troy Torrance, one of his more successful spots or whatever that he calls his trend. Home team, more money, and the line moves their way. Just seems to cash a lot for him. I think he tweeted out that it's like only lost like 1 time this year for him or something ridiculous like that. I did something similar. I forgot who the run line team was. I think it was the Guardians with the Royals. It's just like a big favorite, and they had all the money on them, and then the line still moved that way. This opened up at like minus 200, about exact. Now it's minus 220. So this might be my only 2 bets of the day, but I'm taking the Mets minus 1.5 and the Mets minus 2. Minus 115, or sorry, minus 110 and plus 115 there for both. Josiah Gray pitched well against the Mets once this year, but last year just got absolutely crushed by them. I'm going to pull up his stats here again. Last year, he went 0-2 with a 10 ERA, 9 innings pitched, 10 earned runs there, 3 home runs, 6 Ks, 7 walks. So obviously that's going to be an issue there. He pitched well against them, like I said, but I just think he gets touched up here, and I think that's probably why the line is the way it is. It's a little weird, but I do think Josiah Gray gets touched up here, and I think Kodai Senga just does his thing. He pitches well at home. So I think the Nationals get blown up today. So Mets minus 1.5, minus 110, and minus 2 plus 115.
Yeah, the 21-cent move at Pinnacle. I know I was so fixated on the total, but there's been a huge move here, and I imagine it's going to reflect in the line at some point. A huge move just happened in the ticket count. So a second ago, it was 83 and 70% on the Mets. Now it's 83 and 56%.
Jesus.
So now the Nats have 17% of the tickets and 44% of the cash. And honestly, I don't think Josiah Gray should be this big of a favorite, this big of a dog on the road. I just don't. I know that Kodai's been very good at home. Let's just pull up what Kodai's been doing here, because this is, and let's also look at the difference on the first 5 price. So Kodai Senga, his last home starts, he shut down the Dodgers and looked very good doing it. He held the Brewers down, had 8 Ks and 20. Like I can't. I guess this is saying that Gray's going to get lit up. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense here. I'd like to see if this market moves now with whoever put a big bet on the Nationals, and then we also if we also want to know that there's a price difference between if you like Senga to pitch well, what's the price difference between the first 5 and the full game? So let's take a look at that right now. The first 5 is minus 210, full game's minus 220. So you're only getting 5 cents better on the Nat side of things, plus 180, plus 175. Again, when the line just does stuff that I'm not expecting, I guess I prefer to stay off here. But I do find the Nats appealing, and the Nats, I mean, if we go to the inning, I wouldn't want them full game, and I don't want to fade Senga, but, the first 5 plus a half is still plus 115, and that sounds pretty good. The first 3 plus a half is minus 120. I mean, can he get through 3 innings and you get paid? AOD says the under first 5. I mean, I don't think I'm going to do it, but I'm going to write it here and look a little more. That's first 3 plus a half and first 5 plus a half. But certainly it feels like if this game is moving to the over and the market's moving towards the Mets, that it's Josiah Gray who's going to get touched here. Okay, BJ says Nationals have value with Gray on the road, but Mets are overpriced. So he's going to stay off that. Joe Rich is on Mets first 5. That's about it. Okay, let's move on to the game that we were warned about. And Cuban Wayne Gretzky sprinkling on Lindor, 2 home runs at 42-1. Joe Yeager says Mets are overvalued here. Flywide Mike says taking the first under 5, I feel like it's a must. I don't know how it could be a 5 here. I just don't. It should be a 4.5, and that's why I'm going to have to stay off here. So we were told from TJ to be weary, and look at Ron Crawford saying Nationals are plus 13 units as a road dog. Wow. Robert Franklin looking at Nats first 5 plus half at plus 125. Jojo Rich says, I think that's safe, Jimmy, the first 3. I mean, if he can get 9 outs before a run scored, I mean, it's automatic cash. Carlos Garcia right now, Crawford is between minus 143 and minus 156. But we just had our expert come on, Danny Betzz, and give us Errol Spence. Okay. Al Cervix said he pulled the trigger. Weird card, Nerfy parlay, Detroit back-to-back, plus 259. Respect, Al, my friend. Rocco Rogers is leaning towards Nats first 5 plus 175. All right, so we had TJ warn us about these Chicago Cubs. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. Justin Steele versus Miles Michaelis here. Let's get started with the weather in St. Louis. 101, and it feels like 107 at first pitch. 9 miles per hour out to left center, between 9 and 7.3 miles per hour. Let's go over to the line history then next. Here we have on the full game money line, we have the Cardinals going from minus 111 to minus 108. The Cardinals as well, the first move was towards the Cubs. The Cubs got to minus 107 at 3 in the morning, but there's been buyback, surprise buyback. So, between 8:22 a.m. and 8:48 a.m., there was 12 cents of movement. By the way, there's more movement coming in on the Tigers. A bunch of books just moved Ohtani and the Angels to minus 128. So we're still dropping there. That's wild. Very, very wild. Carlos Garcia says, what was the under on the first 5? What game are you asking about, Carlos? If you're asking about the Nats-Mets, it's a 5. Lucas saying, absolutely disgusting outside in St. Louis. Feels like a microwave. Deacon says, going to be 100 degrees in St. Louis. Michaelis last start was 5 days ago against the Cubs. Give it 5 runs, 5 innings. So far, just betting Swanson RBI prop plus 125. So here with Steele versus Michaelis, they each pitched against the opposition last week, not in the same game. Steele looked very good. 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. It was a 4-3 win at home versus the Cardinals. He went up against Flaherty. Michaelis, in an 8-6 loss to the Cubs, got lit up, 11 hits. He's not been good at home this year either. 283 opponent's batting average, 4.95 ERA. And it's not the long ball that's hurt him. I mean, he's only allowed 5 home runs in 56 in the third innings at Busch. So we've seen the line movement towards the Cardinals. Let's take a look at the total, and then we'll take a look at the cash. From a total side of things, this opened up at some books at 8.5. It opened up at Pinnacle at 9, juice to the under, and it's now at 9.5. And if the market's moving to, look, I cashed that first 5 under 4.5 in the Pirates-Padres game easily yesterday. And there was this huge move towards the Pittsburgh Pirates, which was saying that Oviedo was going to have a good start. There was 99% of the cash on the over. The market had dropped the under in price, just completely opening up their arms to all the over money. And there was a move towards the Pirates. You put that together, and it was like, well, Oviedo's going to pitch well here. Here, this is market sort of intimating that Justin Steele's not going to pitch well here. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. We have 71% of the tickets and 66% of the cash on the Cubs, market moving towards the Cardinals. And from a total perspective, 64% of the tickets and 91% of cash on the under. 91% of cash on the under. It moves from 9 to 9.5. Take it away for us here, Jose, Cubbies, Cards, and Busch Stadium.
Yeah, it makes you want to bet the over. I'll tell you that. Both these pitchers, like you mentioned, have seen each other plenty of times already. Seen these teams at least. This is Michaelis's third time. You mentioned his last one, 5 innings, 5 earned runs. His other one was 4 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and a 3-1 victory there. Steele, this is his 4th time, which is concerning, but he's been pitching well, and he's pitched well in all of those starts. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. All of those games were wins for the Cubs there. And I respect Justin Steele, but I lean over here. I just think the familiarity eventually will get to you. The Cardinals have been hitting well recently as well. And I don't believe in Miles Michaelis here. So I lean over, and that market definitely makes me want to bet the over as well. The heat, the ridiculous heat, obviously makes you want to bet the over as well. So I think I will move on the over 9.5 here.
Jose, looking at this over 9.5. Let's see what that is at right now. Sorry, I got bet 365 up. Joe makes a good point. You know, he says, "Don't we know who's going to have a good bad start just as much as the market?" I mean, that's a fair. But who
Troy is also saying that the market moves have been like 40%, sub 50% in the second half. So that's also something to mention too.
Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that like just from studying Oviedo the last few games that he would have been lights out yesterday? I mean, I didn't, but of course I bet the first 5 under, and it was a no sweat casher. He was excellent.
Yeah, it just feels like you'd always just bet those against those 99% spots, 95% spots, and you'll be cashing most of those spots.
So if the over 9.5 is plus 102 at Pinnacle, we should see what the 9 is for you, because I imagine that you'll get a decent price.
Shout out to Mike M. Ribeye play of the day is Paul Goldschmidt.
Oh, it's in. Okay, sorry, I didn't realize. Okay, did you just put it in?
Yeah, plus
Oh,
170.
it's expensive. Over 9's minus 124. Mike M. Ribeye play of the day. Paul Goldschmidt RBI at plus 170. So I mean, what I was trying to figure out why this was moving to the over. I don't know if I still have it up. I don't, but I went over the batter versus pitcher numbers, and you know, like you said, they're familiar with the pitchers. The opponents are familiar with them, and they get to them. So I'll have this up here in a second. Here we go. This is the action. Arenado hitting 286 against Steele. Contreras 333. DeYoung 375. Goldschmidt 313. O'Neill 333. Walker 400. For the Cubs, Barnhart batting 333. Belly's the only one who's struggling. I mean, look at Happ 294. Horner 409. Morel 300. Swanson 353.
Yeah, and Belly against the lefty. Against the righty here. Actually, never mind. I'm thinking he's on the Cardinals. Yeah, I'll take the over 9 minus 127. I think you said
minus 124.
24.
Cool. Oh, did I say minus 127? I thought I said minus 124.
I don't know. You probably said 24, but you know my horrible hearing.
Yeah, it's minus 124. Huh. Deacon says just bet the Cubs to score over 4.5 for a team total here. That team total in this one, yes, Cubs 4.5 minus 111, Cardinals 4.5 minus 104. Yeah, I'm interested in the over.
Jimmy, by the way, our guy Al Cervic is doing the Lord's work here for Colorado, apparently saying if you're from the Midwest or the East Coast and you work hard, only if you work hard, Jimmy, you can do well here in Colorado. Bunch of fucking slackers out there.
Colorado does sound nice. I don't want to live in Toronto. Just get me out of Toronto.
First it was Parkdale. Now you want to get out of Toronto? Man.
I've always wanted to get out of Toronto. We just had to get out of Parkdale.
I want to go to Parkdale now. I kind of want to live in Parkdale for a year to see how it affects me.
Well, we'll go down. We'll go for a walk before.
Will I get catcalled?
No. I think he'll be fine.
I'm excited to hear your adventure going back. And I saw the it wasn't like a fear in your eyes, but I saw the concern about you going back to Parkdale. Like maybe the crack addicts have forgotten your name and they won't know you and they'll treat you like a random stranger. You don't want that.
No, you gotta be friends with the crackheads. You gotta be friends with everybody. That's so you don't get robbed.
Sure.
That's key. You got to be friends with everybody. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us is very interesting spot. MLB spreadsheet play of the day. I covered it today, Ron Crawford. We opened with CFL. So we did every game open with CFL, and I've got a ton of action. The only game I don't have action in is the Stamps Alouettes. Okay, so let's talk about this. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play of the day. Justin McElvey Stacks play of the day, and BJ's best bet. Now, Stacks play of the day is a player prop, but spreadsheet play of the day and BJ's best bet, both on the Cleveland Guardians. Shout out to our Ron Crawford and our guy BJ. The spreadsheet play of the day is in. Here we go. Stacks play today is on Naylor for an RBI. Guaranteed rate field in Chicago, Illinois. Now, I get it from the idea that, the White Sox are letting go, giving up. 82 Fahrenheit, 6.5 miles per hour in, goes down to 5.1 miles per hour.
You got that feeling from the White Sox, huh?
Well, I mean, clear feeling.
Yeah.
It's clear. Plus 16% home runs, plus 5% runs. It's clear. They're giving up. Billy Friedrich says Cease has one decision in his last 10 starts. What does that mean? The Sox bullpen blows quality starts for Cease. We've seen that nonstop. Mike M says he loved Tim Anderson's value for the White Sox spot. RBI plus 225 will definitely be on his card. Al Cervix says, did I bust out the jorts for Parkdale? Of course, I'm still rocking jorts. I'm right there. You want to see my jorts?
I do, yeah.
Should I fire them up?
I would love to see them. Yeah, I would love to see the jorts.
I keep jorts close at all times. I always got jorts.
Got the bangs on you,
don't worry. Fucking rock jorts. Been rocking jorts. Every single day in Costa Rica, every single day I wore the same jorts. Every single day at work. People love it.
It sounds like you got something in those jorts too, so they're like freshly worn. Like you got your wallet and keys in there. Like that's how you know you actually wear them.
I've got jorts ready to go at all times.
Yeah,
ready
you and John Cena are doing the most for the jorts community.
Thank you. Deacon says, God damn, those jorts are huge.
Damn, now calling you fat. Calling you fat, Jimmy.
I've also worn the same size jorts since that's since my style from '99.
Yeah, I don't believe you though. I think those are a little bit bigger now, Jimmy. The Toronto non-Parkdale life has fattened you up a little bit, according to Deacon.
I have not changed my style, but I had to stop wearing khakis. Because people were like, who else wears those pants? 85-year-old men. Fair. And so I had to stop wearing khakis.
I wear khakis, so I'm not part of that.
Let's stay focused. TJ said, what did Jimmy like on the St. Louis game? I like the over. Jose moved on the over. I'm very interested in the over. That looks like it'll be the pregame bet here. Let's look like full pair of jeans. Okay, Guardians, White Sox. I told them, TJ, about your fear of people believing in the Cubbies here. I think the over is live. In fact, I think it might even be a better spot to.
Steve G, if I put those shorts on, they would be fucking full jeans for me.
Let's go over here. In fact, I'm going to move on the first 5 over as well, even though the bullpens are trash. I'd like that first 5 at 5.
I like both. Yeah, I like both. Shout to Ron Crawford, who's soiling Joe Kelly's good name in the chat right now. Someone who will be traded as well.
Okay, so back to this Guardians spot, guaranteed rate field in Chicago, Illinois. We just discussed the offense, plus 16% home runs, minus 8 doubles, triples, plus 5% runs. Tanner Bybee has looked very, very good lately. Browns Hughes says the over 8 is my most confident play as an Indians fan. Mike M says first game of the series started went under previous game 33-5 to the over.
He's joining the community. George for everyone, guys. Go out there to your local thrift shop. Don't go to like a new place like Old Navy to get jorts. Go to your thrift shop and go buy yourself a pair of jorts today.
TJ has got to be Cleveland here. We're going to get into this in a second. But Troy says, not in the office, wife beaters in basketball shorts all day. Please switch those to jorts. AOD says, do you sometimes miss the pigeons? No, zero times have I missed them.
I think you miss them.
No, I don't.
I think somewhere deep down, you miss going out there just having to deal with a bunch of just shit all over your fucking porch patio.
The problem is when you have pigeons that are just, you can't get them off your balcony. You can't get them off. It's because they've got a nest there and they've got a baby pigeon on the way.
Didn't you like feed them something to make them explode? Wasn't that a thing?
No, God, no. No, but we had the pigeons had babies on our balcony. It's horrible. Fucking horrible. And they don't all live, right?
No, of course not.
You have that one fetus sitting there. It's just
well, I had to watch some nature video. Well, not nature videos. This is real life. Helga experienced this. There was a little baby bird thrown out of her nest. Helga took the time to put the baby bird back in the nest, and then 20 minutes later, the fucking baby bird's in there, threw that motherfucker right back out of the baby nest and killed that son of a bitch. So shout out to fucking real world there. Helga had to experience this too. Like, picked it up, put it back, it was still alive, and then 20 minutes later was distraught when a fucking bird was dead as fuck.
Yeah, well, I was also distraught when I accidentally killed the squirrel. So I get it.
I get it.
And here, look at our guy Jay Peasy. I mean, that guy is a real deal, man. He doesn't even know what jorts are, right? Because
why would he? Why would he? He's been in work pants all day, every day. And by the way, shout out to Jay Peasy. Happy birthday to Jay Peasy.
Yeah, Jay Peasy's birthday. So we need our best bet for him. But let's go back to the spot here. Guardians, White Sox. Bibby's been so good of late. He's been so good of late. He's not been that good on the road this year. 4.38 ERA, 274 points batting average. Dylan Cease has been phenomenal as well. And he's been a little worse. I guess he's just kind of the splits are even here. The splits are even here. Sabino Anguano says the White Sox will win. So first off, I couldn't understand why this was moving towards the over. That was the first thing. My bookie has moved this full game to 8. So my bookie's moved it to 8. Pinnacle has also moved this to 8. That's what I thought would happen. This would opened up at 8.5, and now it moved to 8. It moved to 8 an hour and 5 minutes ago. So then let's go to the first 5. This first 5 was bouncing from a 4.5 to 4. There's still 4.5s on the board. Pinnacle has a 4.5. Why? They opened this at 4. They have a 4.5 right now. There was times where this 4.5 would be like plus 106 to the over. It's not. It's just plus 102 to the over. Why are they asking for extra cash on the under 4.5? Why is the full game going under when these bullpens are bad?
By the way, it makes sense now. I think it makes sense why we wear jorts now. It makes sense. Shout out to Troy Torrance.
Of course, there's jorts on every corner, man. Jorts are
they're back. They never left.
So, with all this being said, I'm a little lost. There's our guy, Big Show Picks. Big Show, congratulations. We heard the news on the show yesterday that you're having a boy. You're going to be a great dad. Congratulations, my man. That was just that was met with wonderful news by all of us here. Let's go over to the cash flow, and then we will move on to WNBA. But I also want to hear our guy Brizzy's fight plan this weekend. 82% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on the under. And now it's moving on the full game, but not the first 5. Then you have 63% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the Guardians. 63 and 83. Let's go over to the money line here on the full game and see what Jose thinks of this spot. We have, surprisingly here, a move, no movement. There was a legit move towards the White Sox. The White Sox had 10 cents of movement. There's been buyback. So now at this point, there's 4 cents of movement on the Tribe. 83% of the cash is on them. Take it away for us here, Jose. Guardians, White Sox.
Yeah, I didn't have much on this game, but I do think I'm going to follow our guys and bet the Guardians here. I'm very interested to see what Dylan Cease will get here because obviously a more trade deadline news. They obviously trade Giolito, but they've just been outright rejecting all of the Dylan Cease trades. And if you're Dylan Cease, you're praying to get the fuck out of there too, and now you're stuck there for another year. I feel like this, like your boy Granky, Jimmy, this might just be a throw-in for Jimmy or for Dylan Cease. He just throws it in here, like just doesn't pitch well, and it doesn't matter because he's going to stay there. It doesn't matter for the season. His team sucks. So I think there might be a little motivation factor here that's a miss for Dylan Cease. So I like the Guardians money line too. I'll take them with our guys Ron Crawford and BJ. Shout to BJ and Ronnie there. Cleveland money line -102 on our friends at Bet Online. So I cannot wait for this game. Now Tanner Bybee's been fine. Well, not better than fine. He's been actually really good. And this is kind of what the Guardians do. They just poop out fucking pitchers that do this shit. And they absolutely need it, Jim. And by the way, another trade that we didn't discuss, a shocking, just appalling trade by the Cleveland Guardians yesterday. Ahmed Rosario, who I guess technically was your crown jewel in the Francisco Lindor trade, traded for fucking Noah Syndergaard. Just horrible. Now, I don't know who the hell they're going to put at shortstop now. I could probably refresh my shit and look at their confirmed lineup, but I was shocked by that trade. I don't think Noah Syndergaard's obviously a good pitcher anymore, and if the Guardians can't solve Noah Syndergaard, then no one can. So I lean towards the Guardians here. I'll probably take a money line -102, but otherwise I had nothing on this game. I lean first 5 under too, obviously, Jim. That was the first play I wrote down. But I know I've heard what you said about those first plays that jump out at you, and those first plays are the ones that usually lose. So I crossed out my first 5 under 4 -110, and I just ended up pass. And Brian Hughes, did Anderson Manis was on that deal? I didn't remember that. I didn't know that he was in that the deal. I thought it was just Ahmed, but yeah, if he was, then yeah, obviously he was too. Then he is, but yeah.
Bybee has been so good of late. So I can understand trusting him. I can understand it. Look, this one is throwing me for a loop here. I think that I disagree that Cease is going to not pitch his best. If anything, he'll be the one bright light as they go through the rest of the season.
Yeah, they don't have many other options.
I know. This one, Troy Torrance is on the money on the Guards. It's a small move to the Guards. There had been a 10-cent move to the White Sox that was just wiped out. All right, Wine Time Sort says, all right, guys, 8 minutes away from game 1. I'll be locked in. Every game is a playoff game for us. I don't know what to do with this Guardians-White Sox game, but I will be doubling up on overs in Cubs-Cardinals. Steal Michaelis. So that's what I will be doing. I don't know what I should do here for the Guardians-White Sox. Again, my initial plan on the game has been thrown for a loop because clearly they're just opening up their arms to anybody who wants to bet the under. That's why Pinnacles moved the first 5 to 4.5. Why would they be doing that?
And you're talking Guardians here?
Yeah. So I can't. That makes no sense to me. If I can't explain it, then I don't, want to put my money on it. I'm also going to be live betting this baseball game. It pops off in 7 minutes, so we'll talk about it here.
Have you made an official first bet with the Pinnacle account yet?
Oh, yes. I made several yesterday, and it went okay. It went okay. It was. I mean, it's not like if I stop putting out Pinnacle bets, that means I'm down 1.5K in that account.
Okay, that's how we'll know. Fair enough.
But I mean, it's not like this could go away, and it's just that's 10 units. I mean, there's not much in that account. So if it's close enough, I'm gonna try. If the line is close enough, I'll send it in, but I'll state that here. So, all right. Big Show says early thoughts on Detroit KC opening night. Lions plus 250, plus 7. I want to have more thoughts on it, but I want the due diligence to be done here. We're going to have shows coming out here very soon. Our brand new football show coming out here very soon. Justin McElvey says, so did the Guardians quit by making that trade?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think they have a plan.
They're weird. Yeah, I just think they're just a weird organization that we can't. It's just like the Rays, we can't really treat them like all other teams. Like even if they sell, we can still kind of assume that they're still going to be in the race, But like it's the Twins' division to lose right now, so we'll see.
Big Show says Lions shock the world. Ron Crawford says Lions +7 from this KC fan.
It's tough to fucking bet that game because we obviously know that everyone loves betting the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have been horrible against the spread the last couple of years in the Mahomes era. And now everyone's going to love up the Lions all year, and I think the Lions are going to be one of those teams that are going to be horrible against the spread this year, but actually good at football. So it's going to be a tough game.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great, great football season. And yes, Cappers contest will be up here shortly, as well as the Survivor. Both will be up here on our website. All right, let's move on to WNBA. But first, I would like to hear the fight plan from our next guest as well, as it is fight weekend in the world of sports. Please welcome, now making his home in West Virginia. A big move.
West Virginia? Wow.
A lateral move, but a big move.
I don't know about that.
He's still got South Jersey in his blood. Don't worry about that. Please welcome Billy Brisbane to the show. Brizzy, how are you?
I'm doing good. How do I sound?
Yeah, you sound good, man. Sound good.
West Virginia Wi-Fi. Shout out to you, Billy.
No, it seems a little bit better than the last couple of ones.
It is great to have you, man. Billy Friedrich says now you're the 5th best looking human in West Virginia. And human, that goes across both sexes there. First off, do you want to talk boxing or UFC? Because I'd like to take some notes down on.
I'd rather talk UFC. I'm not. After that Ryan Garcia fight, I don't think I ever bet on boxing ever again.
So let's talk about the spots, and we don't need to get deep, but brief. We did talk about the heavyweight bout, Lewis versus De Lima, the huge move towards De Lima. Do you agree with the huge market move towards him, and do you think that Lewis is possible to be live?
I actually like Derek Lewis by a knockout in this one. Won't get into the full breakdown of it, but I think way too much line movement. Seems like a Vegas trap spot. Open up -100, now -245. Seems like a great scenario for Derek Lewis to get a knockout and the bookies to be happy. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get an early finish. I mean, it's in altitude, so he's going to have to go for it early. I don't think he has 3-round cardio.
DX Filer is on Wonderboy Thompson by decision at +150. What do you think of that spot?
I don't blame him because I wouldn't want to pay a chalk price tag on Wonderboy, but I think Michelle Pereira is more than live in that fight, but I think the most likely outcome is Wonderboy by unanimous decision. But you might as well just pay up for the chalk.
Our man Clint thinks that Tony Ferguson could pay out a huge price against Bobby Green. Do you think Tony Ferguson has a chance?
I'm on Uncle Tony this week. El Kukui by decision +600.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a split decision. If you look at the split decision odds for fights in the UFC, they're usually around like +300 to +400. For this fight specifically, on BetOnline, they open it up at +280, which is really low for a fight to go to split decision. I think it's going to be a split or majority decision win for Tony Ferguson. I forget what the odds are on that, but it's going to be not get cute. I'm just going to take Tony Ferguson by decision +600. The money line is pretty high as well.
Light heavyweight co-main event, Blachowicz versus Pereira, Alex Pereira. Who do you like here?
Best bet of the whole entire card, Alex Pereira. That's where the whole entire card's that's the weekend this weekend. Alex Pereira wins. It's a good weekend. Fuck the rest of the fights. It's Alex Pereira season.
Ooh, wow. And then the lightweight bout, Poirier versus Gaethje.
I'm staying off that one. I'm not a big fan of betting rematch fights. My initial read was kind of like there could be line value on Justin Gaethje because, I mean, that first fight was a barn burner, but no two fights are ever the same. And I feel like Dustin Poirier bet on him against Conor McGregor last time, and I expected him to wrestle, and I expect him to wrestle here against Justin Gaethje. I think Dustin Poirier wrestles his way onto a victory.
Do you like Clint's thought on the over 2.5?
Those are one of those bets that I wouldn't want to watch it.
I feel you.
like that. They're just going to be swinging back and forth, back and forth. I mean, if you rewatch that first fight, I thought there going to be like a lot of different finishes in the beginning of that one. But I mean, there's no reason, honestly, to bet the main event. Shouts to Big Show Picks. Big Show always says the main event's the most volatile fight of the whole entire card because it's the closest line for matchmaking. And I agree with this one. Like line value would say Justin Gaethje, but I think Dustin Poirier wins.
All right, let's move on to WNBA. Billy, thank you for giving us your thoughts on the fights. Again, you can catch Brizzy on our Saturday night live stream here on Pub Sports Radio, UFC 291. We start with Indiana Fever at the Los Angeles Sparks, and this game goes off in 2 hours and 20 minutes. This is a 3:30 p.m. Eastern start, so a 12:30 p.m. start in Los Angeles here. Fever 6-17, 5-10 on the road. At the Sparks 8-15, but 6-6 at home. So they haven't been that bad at home. By the way, the baseball game has started. There may be some live betting opportunities for us, so let's keep an eye on that. The Sparks just beat the Fever here on Tuesday in Los Angeles, 79-78 to stop their massive losing streak. They are sitting here as 3-point favorites. Some books have moved to 2.5, but they're not the accountable, like the books that we trust. The books that we trust have gone from 3 to 3.5 back to 3. So there's actually been no market move since this came out 4.5 hours ago.
I actually have a little bit of a market move on FanDuel Sportsbook. It actually opened up at 3.5, now down to 2.5, went down $1.
Okay, so we have a move over there. From a total standpoint, let's go over here quickly. And I guess you're right. I should use Bet Online market moves instead of Pinnacle here for WNBA. We have the opening up at 163.5 all the way down to 161. So we have a 2.5 point move towards the under. This actually went to 160.5, so it was a 3-point move, but we have a 2.5 point move to the under. Take it away here, a rematch of Tuesday night's 1-point win for the Sparks. Brizzy, what do you think? Fever, Sparks at Crypto.
Yeah, the Sparks are going to be without Chinny Ugumawale. I can't say her last name. I'm not going to lie. The twin sister of Neke. And Lexi Brown's still out. So it's Jordan Canada, Zora Stevens' usage ratings probably go up without them. The Fever are going to be led by the 3 young guns of Alyssa Smith, Kelsey Mitchell, and Erica Wheeler. But the Sparks were able to overcome a 4-point deficit with a minute left to pull out that win on Tuesday. Spread-wise, the Fever's recent streak has just really fallen off, man. I mean, they're 1-9 in their last 10 games. Prior to that last win, the Sparks were on an 8-game losing streak themselves. They started off 7-7 this year, but they've been dropping off with the injury bug around the team the whole entire year. People in and out the lineup. I actually like the Fever here in this game. They're 8-3-2 ATS in their last 13 road games, 4-1 ATS in their last 5 overall. The Sparks are just 2-6 ATS in their last 8 home games, 3-12-1 ATS in their last 16 games overall. The Sparks have only won 3 games since June 16th. Laying the chalk with them seems kind of crazy. They're only favorites because they're at home, and I like the Fever to get the revenge here in this spot. Total-wise, the Fever have allowed 90-plus points in 4 of their last 5 games, allowing the most points in the WNBA. Their defense is definitely not their strong point, but the Fever, they've gone over 11-5 in their last 16 road games. The offense for Indiana hasn't really been too shabby either. I mean, they've been averaging around 82.2 points per game in the previous meeting. Mitchell scored 19 points versus the Sparks. Neke had 30 points. During the Sparks' 8-game losing streak, they lost 7 games by 10-plus points. They're only averaging around 78.4 points per game with Neke leading the way. Player prop-wise, I do have a player prop play on this game. Neke over 8.5 rebounds, minus 120. She's gone over a rebound prop 5 straight games, 8 out of her last 11 games. On Tuesday, she had 30 points and 8 rebounds. It doesn't seem like the Fever have too much of an answer for Neke, but I do like the Fever on the money line here. Made a move on them at plus 124. Those are my 2 plays on that one.
Fever at plus 124 on the money line, and Neke over how many rebounds?
8.5 at minus 120.
8.5 rebounds at minus 120. Brizzy has spoken on the game that pops off in 2 hours and 16 minutes. By the way, for those of you live betting, that's why. What the hell? I'm not logged in. Okay. For those of you live betting this Angels spot, Here we go. Come on, give me the goods. Here we go. We are sitting here with a runner on. We have a runner on, 1 out and 2 strikes here against Moniak. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board for us here. The final spot on the board, 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's do this here. We got the Dream Liberty, and we have the Liberty, as always, a big favorite here at home. The Liberty are coming off their 3rd straight win. It was on Tuesday night, 86-82 at home. So this is their 3rd straight home game. Pretty comfortable position to be in. The Dream stopped Phoenix at home, 78-65, also on Tuesday evening. As I said, 9-point favorites are the Liberty. They opened up at BetOnline at 8. They got up to 9.5 at 3 in the morning. They're sitting at 9 right now, and it's actually juiced towards the Dream. From a total standpoint, we have it opening up 173.5. Has there been any movement? There was a little bit of movement.
I got a little bit of movement on FanDuel. Opened up at 9.5, went down to 8.5 for Liberty. So it looks like the only reason why I use FanDuel is because the WNBA is partnered up with FanDuel. And,
it makes sense. It makes sense to know what they're up to. This total did go up a half point at one point, but it's sitting where it started. Take it away for us. Atlanta Dream, New York Liberty. Take it away.
Yeah, shouts to my man Tease in the chat. It says best game of the day here. Good game to watch, but I don't know if I really want to put my money on this one. This is an Amazon Prime game. Personally, not my favorite game to bet. The Liberty have already beaten the Dream 2 out of 3 their season meetings, and they've absolutely smoked them. Like Molly Miles said in the chat, the last time they won, it was 110-80. The Dream have played well of recent, though. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games overall, 7-3 in their last 10 road games. Back in the Liberty on the spread isn't really that profitable this year. They're 8-13 ATS, which is 10th in the WNBA. I lean towards the under here, actually. The Dream are 7-0 to the under in their last 7 games. Despite the Liberty being 4-1 to the over in the last 5 games. I don't know how motivated they'll be for this one. Second to last game of a 3-game homestand. My lean on this game would either be the under or the first half for the Liberty or first quarter, but ended up staying off of this one.
Stay off here. Let's review all action. It's been a very fun, non-traditional show here. Betting with the bag today. Fight week has taken the focus, and it's been really enjoyable. Billy Brisbane has given us the Fever money line at plus 124 and the K over 8.5 boards at minus 120.
Yeah, half unit though on the player prop, full unit on the money line. Cool. I don't want to put a full unit on a WNBA player prop unless it's an under.
Then you've backed these big dogs, Derek Lewis and Tony Ferguson. Your best bet, the weekend, is all surrounded by your need for Alex Pereira glory.
Yeah, El Potan season, baby.
Alex Pereira glory. Very, very exciting. And we have a question. We have a question from the chat here for you, Brizzy. Will you be wearing your half shirt?
What do you mean?
I believe you were wearing some belly shirts, I believe, at times here on the program.
Oh my God. I did not bring the male crop top with me. That stayed in New Jersey. I forgot about that.
Oh, we will never let you forget. We will never let you forget.
Next summer, it will be a thing, and you know where it started.
Al Cervic wants the crop shirt with the jorts is the perfect combination. Tease loving it as well.
It's a skinny man look. When you have a very slim, thin body, it doesn't look that bad. Just don't go out in public with it.
Piker wants it mesh. Next time, we would like it if you could make that a mesh belly shirt. Lucas Bryan says that crop top wouldn't go over well in West Virginia.
Yeah, that's why I left it at home.
That's probably smart.
Steve G says with the Crocs. Nah, I'm more of a Sperry's wearer than Crocs.
That was smart. He's smart. That's guy. We're looking for your best interests out there. Brizzy, my man, thank you so much for coming on and joining us here. It's been a really fun show. Love that we can always count on you to rock with us and give us winners in whatever sport that you talk about. It means a ton to us. Good luck on your move over to West Virginia. What do you have going on that you need and want our guys to know about?
Follow me over on Twitter at Getting Bills. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter. That's how you get more of all up-to-date content and stuff like that. Different little blurbs I might retweet from different people and stuff like that. Don't know when me and Big Show are recording the podcast. He had to go do some stuff with the veterinary, but I do have a podcast over with the Don't Tap podcast, so make sure you go check them out. That's over there on Spotify, over on Canada's Fight Planet thing or whatever. I forget what the sponsor name is called, but go over there. Got 3 plays on there. Talked about Tony Ferguson, Alex Pereira, and another one prelim play. But Saturday's the UFC stream. You already know what the vibes are. We're waiting for NBA season, but first comes NFL. So NFL's right around the corner.
Right around the corner. We've got a lot to announce, but our show here, Betting with the Bag, is being brought to you by Jorts. Don't be afraid to wear them, to rock them, and to feel like your best self in them. All right. Brought to you by Jorts. Brizzy, we love you, man. Get that cash this weekend. I'll be checking in. I'll keep I'll bring my computer down to the party and keep your live stream on. See what you guys are up to. But respect, my man. Get that cash, and thank you for rolling with us.
See you, Jim. Always nice being on.
We love you, buddy. All right. Also, when do we live bet the over in this Angels-Tigers game? Under Thunder says Mal, but I'm interested. I'm going to be watching this very, very closely. I'll be watching this game very, very closely. I would like to move on a live under. Lucas Brown says, Jorts sponsorship loading. We have nothing without you guys. Thank you for rolling with us today. Only 5 baseball games on tap. What brand are the Jorts? That's a good question. Jack and Jones. Craftsmanship and dedication from these Jorts. Craftsmanship, dedication. Mally Mouse says Grand Salami juice to the under today. No runs. Andrew G says high quality Jorts. Yeah, fucking 0 jokes. King Al is on the Tigers. Billy Friedrich asks, is that a reversible belt? No. You kidding me? You think I got a reversible fucking? I don't think it is. Jesus, is this a reversible belt?
I think
no,
it's not a reversible belt.
It's not a reversible belt. It's not a reversible belt.
Those things sound heavy though. When you drop them, they fucking clang.
Yeah, man. It's it's a country buckle, man.
Oh yeah, I guess I would know a thing or two about that here.
Steve G says it's sold at the woke section at Target. So, all right. Shohei's got through the first 2 batters really easily.
I hope you laugh at yourself now when you wear jorts. Just know that we're all sitting here.
I'm straight serious when I put on my goddamn jorts. I don't fuck around.
Those are money-making pants.
It's not a fucking game to me, Jose. I put on my jorts because I look goddamn good in them.
True. Next Thursday is not going to be a joke either.
Piker. Mally Mal says Nerfy was a gift. I'm looking for this live over. Billy Friedrich, Al Cervic, Steve G, King Al, Jay Peasy. Happy. Oh, Jay Peasy says stop it right now. Oh, no. Jay Peasy, happy birthday, my man. Happy birthday. We love you. Thank you for all you do for all of us. You're the voice that starts out all our shows, and it means the world to us. Wine Time sticking to the under. Wine Time, you're under looking good. The 7.5 juice to the under now. I want 6.5. I might see if I can make it through 3 innings.
It would be a shame if there was like a day during Bubba where we all wore jorts. It'd be a real shame.
Well, why wouldn't we're all going to be in jorts? Why wouldn't we be in jorts? I wore jorts last year. I wore jorts last year every day. Lucas, Ryan, Christopher Comentini, Justin McElvey, Jarek White. Thank you guys. Piker. What a great group. Viper, NB, Tease, AOD. Thank you guys so much for your support. As always, it means so much to us. And thank you to our guests. We had a cavalcade of stars here on the show. We started with Clint, started the Die Hard MMA podcast. We had Danny Betzz from Talking Hands, Billy Brisbane, and Jose Bouquett, our producer and the backbone of our channel here. So thank you guys all so much, man. Truly means the world to us. Al Cervic says the official shorts of Corn fans worldwide. I didn't know that. Jarek White said I didn't review my action. Let's do that. I want to get in live on this over in the Angels-Tigers game. I'm not sure how long I will wait. I'm not going to tweet it out either. I don't tweet out live action, so I'm just going to bet it when the time is right. I also want to tail the action from our fight cappers, and I will be doing that.
Fight cappers. Interesting.
And in CFL, I've doubled up on the Redblacks. All the Sharps are on the Tiger Cats. Everybody's on Tiger Cats. It's not just Sharps, everybody. There's a rest advantage for the Tiger Cats. It also, there's a winning advantage by the Redblacks. They feel good about themselves. It's not like these Tiger Cat ass clowns. I'm on the Rough Riders plus 11. I think that these spreads are getting ludicrous here for the Argos. Again, that game is not in Toronto. It's in Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's the Atlantic Classic. And then I'm heavily invested in the Lions-Edmonton game. Elks plus 8. Elks first half plus 6 at minus 126 at Pinnacle. Let's keep that account with something in it. BC Edmonton full game under 43. BC Edmonton first half under 21. 2 of those bets are Pinnacle. And then I have not moved on Stampeders Alouettes. For pregame action in MLB, at this point, I'm going to bet the Cubs and Cardinals first 5 over, full game over. The question is, what do I do with this Nats-Mets game? Jose's on the Mets on the minus 1.5 and minus 2. Did you get minus 115 and plus 125 respectively?
I got minus 110 and plus 115.
Okay, thank you. Minus 110 and plus 115. And then I've not moved on the final game of the night. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play of the day. BJ's best bet on the Guardians. Jose joined him on the Guardians. And then Justin McElvey is on Naylor RBI plus 132. And then we discussed the action here. I'm not going to care too much. I'm not going to be too invested today. But tomorrow we have a huge 15-game card. And Dabra Kadabra will be joining us. So sorry about my daughter yelling in the background. All right, there you have it. Tease, come on. If you don't, you walk out one time in jorts, and you'll have
respect
and pick up the litter too.
Yeah, exactly.
From the host, pick up the litter. Now JPZ says when he wears jorts, he doesn't call them jorts.
What do you call them?
So that's fair.
Life? Not the new worker. Yes, PSR football contest soon. Don't you worry.
Yes, and we're going to have announcements, and we have an internal meeting here on tomorrow about all that. So, all right, we got to put a bow on this. Go out there and get the cash. Jose, thank you for rolling with me on these Thursdays. Let's get this fucking money. Leche! Hey, Los bookmakers, milk that shit.